What's going on, everybody? Welcome to another edition of Pedro and Hannibal podcast. I'm Hannibal. That guy over there is Pedro, and I was late. I'm the late one. Sorry for that, guys. I know if you're watching a replay or listening to the podcast, it doesn't matter, but I was running around like a maniac today, and Pedro's the most patient of all the patient people. How are you doing, buddy?
I'm good, man. How are you?
I'm doing well. I had a really nice day at the beach. I realized that I need to work out. When you see certain other folks walking around, I'm like, I gotta hit the gym, maybe do some more
Crunches.
some crunch. Yeah, the crunches is definitely. If I was able to just get the ab area taken care of, like I think, like I actually can do like 10 pull-ups if I had to, right? So if I could do like another 15 or 20 with some push-ups, I think I would get the kind of body I would, at least for the beach.
So let me ask you a question. Are you that guy that's at the beach with a shirt on, or are you at least taking the shirt off? You know
Shirt
what I'm saying?
off,
Okay,
absolutely.
all right, all
No,
right, all
I
right.
know. Hey, listen, it's too hot for that. Like I'm not looking that off, but I just saying that's one observation I had. But thank you for coming through, guys. I know we have a good amount of folks already live checking us
Let's
out.
do it.
Appreciate
Big week.
all of
Big
you. We
week.
see Bobby. I know I see Garden State in here, freestyle. I see a lot of the usual folks that come in every week. We appreciate every single one of you.
Yes.
And today is a very special live episode because last week we talked about the 80s hip hop. And now we're going into what I consider, and I think, Pedro, you agree with me, 90s hip hop, the golden era. Now,
yes.
I think it formed our lives basically because we kind of grew up in the 90s, me and you. So we're going to talk about that. And we have so much to get to in terms of that whole decade. So much has happened. Obviously, people, East. I forgot about the East and West Coast beef. Like, there's so much happening that 10 years span. So
much.
we can really get into it. So I'll lead off with you, Pedro. What the 90s meant for you.
Well, before we get into that, Hannibal, I got to ask you a question. Since on this podcast, we talk about basketball and things as well. I'm going to catch you off guard, so I hope you're ready. So,
yeah.
Before we get into the 90s hip hop, I got my notes. Let me show you. I got my notes ready. Okay, I'm ready. But I got to ask my dear friend, Hannibal, what he feels about the state of NY basketball. Brooklyn Nets, man. What's going on? Give me a couple minutes. Give me a breakdown. A lot going on over there. I just want to hear your thoughts. I got a box of Kleenex if you need it. Let's go.
First of all, let me check and see if a trade happened yet. Like maybe, because the things have been going crazy right now. Okay, no trade. Okay.
No.
So I just feel like this is a bad dream. It's a bad dream. And I guess the biggest problem, or not the biggest problem, what I've learned is there's patterns of behavior within people that sometimes you think this is the time they're going to change, or this is time they're going to not let you down. But in terms of behavior, if someone is exhibiting a behavior that you have a problem with, it doesn't change in time. We may think that way. Yeah, there's some people who do change, but we have, 2 years ago, I had, like I'm in the team. It was, KD and Harden and Kyrie Irving. They probably the three, that's the biggest three super team possible. All of them kind of in their prime. And you think, okay, championship. Yes, it's cheap, and they're supposed to, KD and Kyrie are supposed to go to the Knicks. They say F the Knicks. The Knicks are not cool anymore. I think that's what KD said. We're gonna go to Brooklyn. And me, born and raised in Brooklyn, still living in Brooklyn for all of 37 years of my life. I was like, fantastic. Let's bring a championship to Brooklyn. There isn't any Brooklyn team. Last Brooklyn team was the Brooklyn Dodgers, and I don't remember any of that, and I don't watch baseball, but I know that they were here and they left. But the Brooklyn Dodgers are a big deal here, right? And then just little by little, things just started to go wrong. I think when they did play, they won most of their games. I forgot their record, like 16-2. Like when all three came in, right? The first playoff series, some injuries happened. I think Harden had a hamstring. Kyrie had something. Okay, they lost to the Bucks. And then more problems happened, right? Kyrie with the vaccine. He doesn't want to take it. All right, cool. Harden is like, I'm mad that he's not taking a vaccine. I'm going to leave. I'm going to Philadelphia. We got Ben Simmons. All right, cool. And then you'll think, okay, we still got a good 3. Boston beats the brakes out of him and sweeps him. But then all of a sudden, Kyrie, because he doesn't get his max extension, he wants to leave. And then Kevin's like, I want to leave too. And I'm like, what the hell happened? Like, what happened here? And I understand why I think Kevin felt like he wasted his time. I think KD, which is a very, I'm wondering who counseling these men, who are telling them what, like, if you had a weirdo friend, and I'm calling Kyrie a weirdo, if you had a weirdo friend, hey, I got a business opportunity. Let's go all the way over here in Brooklyn. First thing I would kind of say is like, I don't know, man. Like, you kind of weird. You think the earth is flat. You left LeBron. Like, maybe I should go somewhere else. Maybe I should take my own lead and figure it out. He's like, nah, that's my friend because I want to be a contrarian. I want to do the opposite of what everyone else says. Okay, cool. But then don't be surprised of his behavior.
Right. You can't be surprised.
A pattern of behavior. I think the same thing with Ben Simmons. It's a pattern of behavior. So it is just, it still blows my mind because you think, okay, you got the 3 really great players. They'll figure it out because that's what you think with basketball. Just put them all in.
Yep.
And it gives me more respect for LeBron, how he's able to do it. I know LeBron gets a lot of crap, but it's never this messy. I mean, it's messy right now. I think he's just old and he's going through what he's going through. But there's some more leadership there than with Kyrie and KD, and obviously Harden. They're not leaders.
None of them are leaders. You got to have a leader.
You need to follow Kyrie. You're not showing any leadership skills, and also you have bad judgment. So I think that's like the biggest thing I could take away from this. And a couple of days ago, it would be more expletives and me yelling and screaming. But I really believe that those 3 were not leaders. They're too sensitive to social media. They're on social media too much. Yes. Kyrie responds to Kyrie responding to a Barstool tweet. Now you may not even know who Barstool is. It's basically like a more like
I know Barstool. Yeah.
Okay. All right. Yeah. But like, why are you responding to Barstool? Because they said something. Kevin Garnett responds to every single tweet about him. Had burner accounts. These are they're too sensitive. They need to be led. They're not leaders. And they're embarrassed themselves. And now they're gonna go somewhere, and I think Kevin wants to go to the Heat or the Suns. Like he wants to go to the team that can get him there faster.
Get him, yeah. And he's not, KD's a phenomenal ball player, but I feel bad for you, man. Like I don't understand. I mean, listen, I'm a Cubs fan. I'm from Chicago, so we didn't win a World Series in over 100 years. We won 2016. It was fantastic, but I don't understand what's going on in NYC in basketball. It's just they can't. I think the ownership. I think with some of these teams, it starts with the owners and their decision making, and you can't expect. I think on paper, teams look good. Oh, we got Durant, we got Irvin, we got James Harden. Oh my God, we're gonna get DeAndre Jordan, we got Blake Griffin. Like we got all these superstars, right? But chemistry is a big deal, and you got to trust each other on and off the court. I think that's why the Warriors did so good. I think that's why LeBron teams did well. The Spurs, the Bulls, you can go back, right? You have to draft well and mix in some free agents. You can't bring in 2, 3, 4 free agents from the outside because they're used to doing things a certain way. Harden's used to running the show in Houston, pounding the ball, taking 30 shots a game. Irvin's used to doing kind of what he wants to do. Kevin Durant's used, so when you bring in those personalities, this is what you get. And, not surprised, but it's crazy, man.
It's colossal, it's such a colossal F up where, the problem is the Nets had a playoff team before this happened. They had the GM Sean Marks had a really decent group of players, and we had a good I forgot to do with the Afro. He's with the Cleveland Cavaliers. Like we had a solid team of good players. They had
Jared Allen. You're talking about Jared Allen.
Jared Allen. That's Spencer Dinwiddie. Like he was pretty decent. Like we had some decent players, and then we blew it up. And obviously, you would blow it up if those two said I want to show up. But then they're picking the coach, and they realize Steve Nash is not ready to coach. They need to stop grabbing former players and think they're Steve Kerr. Steve Kerr is a unique guy who won everywhere he went. and most players don't have that. Jason Kidd had some bad. Remember he was with the Brooklyn Nets, and then he was with the Bucks, and now he kind of figured it out with Dallas. It takes a while. Coaching is not easy, but and I know I saw one comment about the respect for LeBron. At least respect for the idea he treats it like a business. Is he front running it sometimes? Sure, but it doesn't come out like this. They don't blow it up. Like imagine he went to the Miami Heat and then blew up in 1 year. Like it didn't work that way. But yeah, it's embarrassing. No one likes the Knicks because the owner is really bad. He's probably one of the worst owners. He's up there with the guy who runs the Commanders now. I forgot the team.
Snyder.
Yeah, those he was like, what's the worst owners in sports? It's him. It's Dan Snyder. They're bad. I don't know what it is. They want to win. It's just they don't know what they're doing.
Well, and I think some of these guys coming in free agencies or younger guys, we people our age and older look at the Garden, Madison Square Garden, as the Mecca, the epic. We want to play there. All these great things have happened. These young generation don't care about that. They're not thinking about that, right? So it's not an attraction of free agents to go there, and it really hasn't been. Most of the free agents go to like the Lakers, Miami,
warm climate,
other places.
No state income taxes.
Carmelo Anthony was the last one, the last big free agent. Him and Amari Stoudemire, but like nobody's going to New York to play ball. Like it's not a thing. And until they start drafting better, these New York teams ain't going anywhere, man. So
apparently the Yankees and the Mets, and I wish I watched baseball. I wish I was into it because apparently they're doing well. Both teams, I think they're doing pretty well. But other than basketball, yeah, I don't know what is. Knicks are still rebuilding. I know they paid a lot of money to a guy that I did not know until the playoffs. No, didn't know what Brunson was or who he was, but I was like, oh, he's actually pretty decent.
Jalen, yeah, so, they overpaid for him.
We're gonna give him $100 million. I don't know how the pay works anymore. I don't get it. But I think
everybody gets $100 million in the NBA.
Yeah, that's the going rate. I've heard that on the radio. There's like that's the going rate for starting a guard. I'm like, okay, that's the starting rate. Then so be it. But I don't know what's gonna happen if another trade happens. We'll talk about it. They may actually play this season because what they want, I don't know who's available to give. They want everything for Durant, and rightfully so. I mean, Durant is still in his prime.
There's only maybe 5 guys that I think are untradeable that you wouldn't give up for Durant. So yeah, you should. I mean, he is that guy that can get you some wins, but he's going to need help because he's not a leader, or at least he needs to be surrounded by guys that are a little more strong-minded to hold him accountable. He did well with the Warriors, and he won those chips because he just needed to score. He had other guys. There's a system there. They had a winning coach. They had a winning culture. Exactly. Thank you. So he just needed to be himself. Going to another team like Brooklyn and starting something new with a couple other superstars, he's just not that dude. Like he's not that guy. He's a guy that's going to play really well at a high level of basketball, high efficiency, score at a crazy clip. Like he's a bucket, but that's not. You need more than that to win a chip.
And that's fine because not everyone need to do everything, right? Like you ask him to be a better defender. He could defend if he wants to. I think going back with LeBron, and I'm not a LeBron guy, but there's too much LeBron slander. I understand the way he made super teams, but he's not the first. He wasn't the first guy to do a super team. It happened in Boston, so it's not. But the idea that LeBron's Cleveland ring is the biggest ring, like of all the championships, that's the most important. He took Cleveland to a championship.
If you look at everything involved, you're right. Yeah.
And he actually he was down 3-1. Like that's impossible.
And
like
he beat a team that won the most regular season games in the history of basketball.
Can't take that from LeBron, no matter how much you think LeBron whines and cries and pretends he's reading and he's not reading anything. All the issues are he's in social issues, but he doesn't know what he's talking about. All those things you can criticize him. He won that chip for Cleveland. It doesn't matter. That's the most important ring he's ever gonna have.
Yep.
Kevin could be like, hey, listen, all right, Kyrie, yeah, we can't depend on you. You're weird. You take 2 weeks off for reasons we don't know. Not even the vaccine stuff. Like, you're just weird. All right, go. I'm gonna build this on my own or die trying. Mm-hmm. And we would have gave him more props. And he's like, nah, I don't want to do that.
It's I don't know. I KD's a great basketball player, but if anything, I'm more of a Irving Kyrie fan than I am a KD fan. All things considered, that's just me. I like Irving's game. I think he's just in his head on other things, non-basketball related.
Get off of Twitter, man. He has to get off of
Both
social
of them. James Harden needed to get out of the strip club, hanging with Lil Baby.
At least, all right, at
these
least I give
guys
him
are
the credit
just
about that one. I'm like, at least he's doing something productive.
well,
He's hanging out with not
big booty
productive.
girls.
What do you rather do? Be on your phone trying to challenge everyone about your legacy, or be at the Magic City?
Facts. Okay,
Yeah,
you're right.
All right, I think we
good
we
segue. Good segue.
Good segue. So 90s hip hop. So for me, that's where my love of hip hop was growing, because I was born in 1984. Growing up, really my dad introduced me to hip hop. I think every morning or when he came home from work, he'll turn that radio. There was radios back then. There wasn't internet, not yet, right? Listening to Hot 97. That's a big radio station here.
Yeah.
Listening to Angie Martinez in the afternoon, Funk Flex in the evenings, and just listening to this great music, and it was just hitting. I mean, from like I said, from 1991, where I think the West Coast stuff was kind of coming in. I think I could check my dates if it's makes any sense. I think Boys in the Hood came out in 91. I gotta check that.
The movie? Yeah, I think 91, 92, something like that. Yeah, that sounds right.
And I've seen that movie 10,000 times, even though I was probably too young to listen to it or watch it. It had a great soundtrack. And
such a great movie, man. I mean, yeah.
Poor Ricky. Why did he run in a straight line? We always say that. Like, why he didn't do a slide, but he was in the alley. But you know what I mean? But just just getting like in the culture, because especially that that kind of music was happening. A lot of the rappers were in my neighborhood. Just the style, the way they spoke. That's where I think hip hop really got into the mainstream in the 90s.
Yeah.
The shows, all the sitcoms that came out from Living Color or Living Single or Martin, all was heavily influenced with hip hop themes, and some of them even came to do like cameos. Like
Biggie was in Martin. I remember that episode where Biggie was in Martin. Yeah, that was a big deal. Yeah.
So like
and Tupac was in a Different World, right? With Jada Pinkett Smith. I think it was Tupac he was making movies, Above the Rim. He was doing Poetic Justice with Janet Jackson. So hip hop in the 90s for me, the 80s set the tone, but the 90s took it to the next stratosphere. You know what I mean? Like you're saying, it really became more mainstream, and it became where the rappers were on TV or on movies, and we didn't really see that on that level anytime before that. So
yeah. TV, right? Like instead of watching public access channels, watching music videos, now they're on cable, because that's when I started to have cable. Cable, the legal cable box back in the day. I don't know if you guys remember the legal cable box. It was the magic box. It was amazing. I forgot how long it worked for, but I don't even know how I even got the hookup. Somehow someone in the neighborhood knew how to get these boxes. So you get to watch all the naughty channel. Sound like such an old man.
I never had that box, man. I never had that box.
Yeah, I be in Brooklyn, man. That's we obviously we didn't follow the rules then, but but even that just regular cable, right? Like watching BET, and even MTV, they were starting to show, because that's where everyone was listening to. So like a lot of the music videos, the amount of money they were investing, I think that's when Hype Williams really that's the only music video director I kind of know, because he just took everything and just made it super cinematic. Like everything has to be like a movie. I don't know, did Belly come out in the 90s?
Belly was 97, 98, I think. It was later maybe 90. I can't remember, but it was definitely in the 90s.
1998.
98, yeah, later 90s. DMX, Nas,
the best intro.
Oh my god, I like that movie. A lot of people don't. I didn't like the ending. I thought was questionable, but overall, the star power. I thought DMX did a good job in that movie. I thought he did a good job.
Yeah.
But the beginning, man, where they're going in there robbing, they got the music in the background, the black and white with the black. I mean, just absolutely amazing, man. I mean, that takes me. It's nostalgic, for sure.
So, and we can, and I was, I forgot. Will Smith jumped in and he started the Fresh Prince of Bel Air in
Yeah,
1990. Like
yeah.
it's so many things, and so I guess we can kind of come down like, okay, what artists from the 90s really resonated with you, grabbed you, you've
Mm.
listened to all their stuff, or like that what was the go-to rappers for you
Yeah.
during that time?
For me, the first rap album, and I've said this before, I bought was It Was Written, Nas. So I listened to a lot of Nas. I bought that album, then I got the Illmatic. So for me, it was Nas. It started with Nas, and then I transitioned into like this phase of like this like Bone Thugs and West Coast rap and Dre, and like I started listening to that kind of stuff because my friend group and my cousins, that's what they liked, but I really liked the East Coast, right?
Mhm.
So the popular stuff wasn't necessarily East Coast with the people that I was hanging with, but I still liked it, right? So for me, the guys in the 90s, and some of them made music in the later 90s, like 96 to 97, 98, and then transition also to that to the 2000s. But for me, it's Biggie, it's Pop, it's the East Coast, West Coast. Like there's never been anything like that. And what happened is just extremely tragic, but also poetic in some ways. These guys, it was just such an odd time, right?
Yeah.
And the two biggest hip hop stars. Imagine, Drake, let's just say, and I don't know, throw out another big name in hip hop right now.
Well, right
Who's
now
who's
you
who's
say
big?
around his age, you can say Kendrick, you
Okay,
say
so let's say Kendrick and Drake are beefing, and both of these guys die within 18 months or a year and a half, whatever it was. I mean, that's crazy, right? That'd be like, at that time it was the biggest news in music, really.
Yeah,
But for
I
me, it was
remember I
Biggie,
remember where
Pac.
I was when, those
Yeah.
both of them I knew I know Tupac. I was in the kitchen because we had TV in the kitchen, and I was watching, MTV, they were reporting it, and you're like, "Nah, that's not happening." And they're
Mm,
like, "No, it's like," 'cause he remember a couple of week before he got shot a billion times, didn't
yeah.
die, made us Hail Mary, which is one of the most devastating, diss tracks I ever listened to.
Oh, dude, yeah.
He was like, I took it and smiled. I'm like, damn, that was a cold line.
I
Like,
mean, Pac was different, man. Plus, the stuff he was doing before he went to death row was, very powerful music. Keep your head up, Dear Mama, Brenda's Got a Baby. Like Pac was that dude. Pac
yeah,
was that guy, right? So for me, Biggie, Pac, Nas, obviously he's my number one. Um, Jay-Z came in at the end, DMX 97, 98. DMX's album, his intro, his Dark and Hell's High, and then he had two albums in 1 year. DMX was on top in the later part of the 90s. DMX was that guy. Like
yeah,
DMX was very different. A lot of energy. We didn't see a lot of energy kind of guys because he had the hype mentality, right? But he also, he's taking his shirt off. Rappers wasn't doing stuff like that. He's had all the energy, but then he also had like a story and some lyrics, and he was
yeah. I think a
literally
lot
a
of that
rough
because
rider.
his first album, Tupac was released in '92.
92. Yeah.
Oh yeah, Tupacalypse Now.
Mhm.
So he was a roadie. He was a dancer. So I think he knew how to perform.
Digital
Um,
Underground. Yeah.
and uh, and he's also did Juice. That's another really good movie. Well,
Yeah.
Omar Epps. I forgot the other
I,
two,
I
but
think that was like his first movie. I'm pretty sure he played
yeah,
Bishop
and
in
he was
that,
like
and that was
legit,
his.
like a
Yeah.
he could, like I said, he can act. And he acted like a legit villain. I'm like, damn, this guy's kind of crazy.
Yeah.
But just going back to like the East Coast, West Coast, I think a little bit of it was some jealousy there. West Coast music was more popular. I mean, Dr. Dre,
It was.
Snoop
Yeah.
Dogg's debut. I mean, it was mostly like Dre beats was just ridiculous. And New York, I guess the East Coast had to catch up. And I think a lot of was some issues where the West Coast like, well, we're making better music than you guys.
Hmm.
And then it got into some weird personal beef. And then I think that's what kind of exploded because NWA was still kind of there. It was a lot of
Yeah.
whatever Dr. Dre was putting out was just like bangers, and
Yeah.
the East Coast was still trying to catch up. I mean, Nas didn't necessarily, he was still 17 years old. I mean, Live at the Barbecue was in '91.
Yeah. He was
So
he was a, he was a kid. And you had like 93, I believe. Doggy Style came out. That was a Snoop's Doggy Style was a game changer for. I mean, that was a huge album, right? And so the West Coast definitely had it, and I feel like when we started getting towards the latter part of the 90s, you had Nas was a little more refined. Jay-Z comes out with Reasonable Doubt, DMX hits, Big Pun comes out, two classic albums by Biggie. So
Yeah.
then the New York kind of, when Biggie stepped in, it was kind of like, all right, I'm the king of New York, but I'm kind of the king of rap, regardless of what area we're going to talk, right? And then you had Outkast coming in, Southern Playlistic, 94. They did Equipment, I believe, 98. So then you had, Bone Thugs, 95, 96. Like, then you had other people kind of doing their thing. Then, you had Cash Money in the latter part of the 90s, No Limit. So then it became like not just East and West. You had all these other South and everything else North. And it's the best era for hip hop, in my opinion, for those reasons, because you had every kind of part of the map kind of like represented in a good way, right? And you had different types of vibes of music and different beats, different stories, different party music or more storytelling. And that's why 90s to me is number one, man. And my Mount Rushmore for 90s is Biggie, Pac, Nas, and it's hard for me. I don't know who to pick between DMX and Jay-Z, because I feel like that DMX album is just crazy. And for me, Jay-Z's a little more of a 2000s for me, because he's had so much longevity. I put him in more in the 2000s. But those are my guys in that era for me, man.
Garden State do a really good point right here. Puffy saved New York at the time. You can say what you want, but Puffy was visionary and made Bad Boy. Absolutely.
You're not wrong.
He first started with being an AR, and because he grabbed Biggie, and I think Biggie, when he was doing it, I don't know if he was 100% thinking that he was going to blow up, but he was still on the corner doing what he had to do. He was still hustling. Puffy had to kind of bring him in, like, no, this is actually going to work. Come on, and he was bringing on really great acts. That's why I have mixed feelings about P. Diddy, because clearly something is wrong with him, where he just felt like he's a vampire. He just sucks all of the energy out of artists. Like, I mean, Craig Mack gone. One song that my father played 1,000 times in a row, and I'll be honest, I never got tired of it. Black Rob with Whoa.
Oh, Whoa is a banger.
Over,
I used to play it.
And over.
That, yeah.
The anthem, right? Like, he passed. Like, what's happening? Like, and people always saying, "Yo, Puffy, you didn't pay." It's just a lot of weird stuff. But when
Shine went to jail
for him.
You got Mace went to the Lord. He has a lot of that. But at the end of the day, he's a visionary. He's a hustler. He started his career as an AR, like you're talking about. He did Jodeci. He was Jodeci's like fashion design guy. He was the guy that helped Jodeci what clothes they were going to wear, and like the image.
That's why you saying that? Yeah, I can see it.
No, he was that guy. So
yeah.
Puffy's all over, but I just like the 90s because you got so many different Bravos in here. Shout out to Bravo. He's talking about Scarface and Ghetto Boys. I mean, and that's like down south, So there's everything. And for me, like, I listened to a lot of Bone Thugs, man. Like, they were big in Chicago and Cleveland, obviously in that area. But a lot of, and that was, these guys are singing. They're singing and you can't understand half what they're saying, but the beats and everything, the melodies were so great, right? And so there's just so much positive stuff from the 90s, man.
I remember Crossroads. I think it came out, I definitely was in junior high, and people were trying to recite what the hell they were saying. And
Crossroads was, I was 13. Yeah, I think 13 or 14.
Yeah, it was just we weren't able to catch up with the lyrics. Like, and it's different between rapping fast and mumble rapping.
Yeah,
they were not mumbling; they were just really, really fast. Like Twista is not a mumble rapper. It's just so fast. It's not the same compared to, I guess, at this point, last 10 years of rap mumbling, and I don't know what are you saying, Migos? I don't know what, but it sounds good.
Yeah.
So like whatever.
Yeah.
But if you could talk about, or in your mind, this is a hard question because I didn't even throw this out yet. Mm-hmm. What is the biggest rap group of the 90s?
Oh God, that's a tough one, and I'm glad you brought that up. Great segue, my dude. So I got some notes, but rap groups were so big in the 90s, and we don't see them anymore.
I think everyone wants to do their own thing.
We don't see them, and some of the best albums.
That's it.
Facts. But some of the best albums of the 90s, right? If you made a top 10 albums of the 90s, half, three or four of them are going to be prop, or half of them are going to be from groups. So obviously you got Wu-Tang, 36 Chambers, Forever. Like Wu-Tang is so classic. They're mainstream now. People still love, Wu-Tang. They got the merchandise, like the
Yeah.
symbols, fantastic. They got a lot of different great MCs, but they got producers. You got Jizzy, you got RZA, the list goes on and on. Ghostface Killer, Method Man, old Dirty Bastard. You got Raekwon the Chef.
Raekwon,
Like,
yeah.
there's just so many, right? Method Man, right? But for me, you got to put Wu Tang there. I can't leave out Tribe Called Quest, Mob Deep. I mean, I used to listen to Mob Deep, and I thought I was tough. Like, I turn on a Mob Deep album, and I'm just
Yeah,
like, I remember
Havoc
rolling
with
to
the
school,
producing, with the producers
dude.
of the he was
Mob Deep
beastly
was,
crazy.
Bone Thugs, obviously Outkast, The Roots. We don't talk about them enough, how talented those brothers were.
Oh yeah,
Black Dot,
definitely.
fantastic. We got Cypress Hill, 8 Ball, and MJG. People
Oh, I
forget
love
about that. I
them.
used to listen.
Yeah.
The Locks, Bad Boy, right? The Locks. Jadakiss, Chic, and P
They
Styles
still doing it too. Still
still
out there.
doing it. Ghetto Boys, NWA was part of that. Digital Planets, the Fugees. There was one. That's enough right there. Beastie Boys made some classic albums. There's so many great hip hop groups in the 90s. And as you get into the 2000s, some of those groups stayed together, but they started to fade as the 2000s started going on. And you get
Mhm.
into 2010s, ain't no groups, man. You had you had like cliques, you had like record labels, right? Like maybe it's Cash Money or whatever, right? But you didn't have them making like a whole bunch of albums that were great together. It was just more like a group, and they each individually did their thing. But the hip hop groups, Wu Tang's probably going to be on most people's top list just because of some of the albums that they made, and I think they have a lot. I think the one thing with Wu Tang is they don't have like a lot of commercial big hits. They don't have number one albums or number one hits or anything like that, but they have like that logo and that marketing behind it is just amazing. And I think, a lot of people push them, and they have so many different personalities that also had great careers on their own, whether it's Method Man or all, Raekwon, Ghostface Killer's got some classic albums
Yeah.
personally by himself. So, those are some of the groups I think of. Bone Thugs and Mob Deep were probably the two that I listened to the most as far as just groups, and then followed by Outkast. And I've listened to like Wu Tang and some of the other ones later in life. But when I was in middle school, bro, it was Bone Thugs, and then a little bit after that, get to high school, it was Mob Deep. Those are like the two that I really, really, really listened to the most. That were groups, at least.
Yeah. I think Wu Tang, because of the sheer number of really extremely talented rappers
Mm-hmm.
that went on to do their own thing. UGK is a
UGK,
group.
yeah.
It a few people throw in a chat. This is a smart chat. They just know all the great rappers. There's still there's a song. I don't know if it's the first album, Murder. I don't know if you've listened to that song.
From UGK.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I still listen every once in a while, and Bum be like, he's in a Super Saiyan mode, and he's just
Mm-hmm.
destroying this track with this. It's just the layers, and it's an interesting video on YouTube where Ti is explaining all of the lyrics that Bumby is saying about the drugs and what he's
Mm-hmm.
calling the big names, and it's just so funny because Ti likes to use his vocabulary.
Yeah.
It's a very entertaining video. But yeah, UGK is definitely one of my favorite. I still listen to this day. But yeah,
I remember
I
there was
think
another group, Pope Imp and Do or Die. That was one of the first CDs I listened to from my cousins in Chicago, and I would come back to St. Louis, and like my friends in St. Louis didn't really know about it. And I'm listening to it, like, what is this? And I'm like, this is new stuff, man. Pope Imp and Do or Die. Backseat of a caddy, chop it up and do or die. Like, and it had Twister in there. Like, I remember walking the neighborhood with the headsets on and just listening to that song on repeat. There's so many like good groups that just had maybe one or two good songs and didn't do a whole lot after necessarily.
yeah,
I don't know if you're familiar with Master Ace.
I'm
You ever heard of?
familiar. Yeah, I've heard about.
They had a lot of like bass music for your cars. My cousins, got me onto Master Ace. Like, there's just so many. It's just nostalgic, man. There's so many great groups, and they don't. you just don't see groups anymore. It's kind of sad because I think sometimes if you let your egos go to the side and you get a couple guys together, you can make great music because maybe one guy's a good producer, one guy has got the beats, one guy's a good writer. You know, that's what Wu-Tang does. That's what NWA did, and they had a lot of success, right? But now everybody wants to do it on their own, so it's just a different kind of music, different vibe.
Yeah, I think if I had my favorite groups was, I would say, if I could say 3, it's Wu-Tang, A Tribe Called Quest, and Outkast.
Yeah,
I love Bone Thugs and Harmony. I probably listen a lot. I probably listen a good amount of Bone Thugs because they make good music even after the 90s. But
yeah,
Outkast was super strong. A Tribe Called Quest, they're just too
yeah.
good. I mean, rest in peace to Five Dog.
They don't have skits
Yeah,
on
they were
those
good.
albums. There's not
No,
skits. There's not
and they
skits
were
on those
kind of
albums.
they fit with my vibe because they're not gangsters or anything. They're just trying to talk to chicks. They're just trying to, they're trying to do their thing. So I was related to them more.
Yeah.
Same thing with Outkast. Like they weren't gangsters either. They live in the hood and whatnot, but those just resonate with me personally. But with like Wu-Tang, yeah, it's just too many good songs. Like I said, the vibe, their brand, their marketing, they love those movies. Every time, I know it's been a minute since I went to the barbershop, but when you went to the barbershop back in the day, in the 90s, you walked in, they're watching a poorly dubbed martial arts movie where the lips that they're saying is not matching, and there's a bunch of good fighting scenes.
Yeah.
Especially the ones where I don't know if you watch Hidden Tiger Crouch. I forgot it, but basically the ones where
Tiger, Hidden
the characters are flying in the air.
Yeah.
They're running over, like they're running while like swords are like jumping on swords, like it's like platforms, like that kind of stuff. You're sitting there getting your haircut while they're watching that. Like that's how I think Wu-Tang kind of took that whole thing. And, Shaolin and stuff like that. Going back to the old DB, another song my father would play 1,000 times. Shimmy Shimmy Y'all.
Shimmy Yeah.
And Brooklyn too. Like over and over again. And I love Brooklyn. Like those two, I could listen to those on repeat. Like it's him just raw. Like ODB
was
he had like the performing, the charisma, and he didn't give an F. He would talk about getting food stamps. He talked about, I remember watching an interview on MTV, he talked about getting gonorrhea several times. I was like, no one asked, bro.
I missed that interview.
Oh, I'm sure it's on YouTube. He has a mic talking about he got burned. I'm like, all right, man, just wear a condom or something.
And he had a whole bunch of kids though, too, didn't he? I know he did.
Probably, sure. Yeah. I think he had a son. I think he
8 or 9 kids or something. I saw that. I saw his son was on a show, Love and Hip Hop, maybe. He was on something. I saw his son, and he had his dad's look, and he was kind of, biting the style a little bit, but maybe paying homage. But yeah, ODB was cool. He's a character. I mean, I had the album where his food stamp cover on the front. Well, it's cool, but it's not an album. Like I remember a couple songs like the ones you just mentioned, but it wasn't like an album I listened to a lot.
I hear you. On top of your head, since Wu-Tang is probably the best 90s group, at least I think arguably, but I think it is. Of all the members, what do you know the album that you love the most? All the members.
Ghostface Killer's got the album I like the most. I forget the name of it right now, but that's the one. Ghostface for me was the guy, just lyrically and everything else, and his wordplay was good. Rakim was good. Raekwon the Chef was good. Method Man, I like Method Man, but I like some of his songs he did with other people more than the song he did with Biggie on the Ready to Die album, the song he did with Mary J. Method Man's cool, but Ghostface was my guy for Wu-Tang overall.
I think of all of them, it's probably Raekwon, Only Built for Cubans, because he had a song with Nas, Verbal Intercourse, and that is, again, Nas just comes in and he's like, I'm going to just destroy everything, but Raekwon can keep up with anybody. Yeah, and I like the fact that regardless of what albums they had, like individual albums, they always had each other in the album. So like even they had, I think in one of the album covers, Ghostface Killer's with him. You know what I mean? Like they always made sure they took care of each other. So I think that's why they probably stick around. And I think the reason why we don't see many rap groups anymore is the money is in probably being by yourself. Like. Good point. Even like I said, one right now that's really popular is Migos, and I think they're breaking up, or I think they're having some issues. So I think everyone wants to be their own guy. Back in the 90s, where you rapped and you had someone else sing the hook, someone who could sing on the hook. Now it's I'm gonna do the whole thing. I'm gonna sing and rap. Damn, Drake gonna mess up everybody. Like now we got you could sort of carry a tune and you're gonna sing your hook.
And then
J. Cole is singing.
Kanye does the same thing. They're kind of like, yeah,
They can't
stretching the
sing.
limit a little bit.
They
Yeah,
can't sing,
yeah,
right? Like,
yeah.
um.
Very true. Very true.
Oh, this is
Let me.
actually a good question. I don't know if you want to jump in on this one. Garden State.
I
Yeah.
saw it. I said AZ. Like, and then
Uh,
you die.
yeah,
So, at
yeah,
least on that particular verse,
yeah. I think if we're gonna go into underrated '90s rappers,
Mm,
AZ is probably one of my most underrated rappers. I
yeah,
wish he was more appreciated and famous. When you hear people talk, AZ is like no one says he can't rap, no one says he can't put down. And for some reason, like a song like that jumps in. You'd think that would be like Nas Live at the Barbecue, where he just 17-year-old just destroys. Like, who is this guy? We gotta put him on. And
yeah.
but for some reason, it just never worked out. But that's like if all the rappers and I have some other ones like Cannabis. People don't
Hold on. Did you say
like him that
cannabis?
much. I said Cannabis like it's the drug.
I had him on my overhyped list.
Really?
Oh, I gotta. Yeah, keep going though. I want to see. Maybe we have some cross sections
It,
here.
it, well,
I
I would
was not a
say
cannabis
an
fan.
Ibus. I know he has some issues with LL. I thought his debut album was pretty strong. I thought his
Yeah,
this track was pretty good.
yeah. He had
He
cannabis's
gets
best
some level of
verse was on the Firm album. He came in and he did the. I can't remember the song, but he has a feature on the Firm album that was
yeah.
AZ and Dr. Dre produced and Nas and Foxy and Nature and yeah, like that's his best verse to me. And then he had that beef with LL. He made it, but I wasn't a cannabis guy at all.
I think for me, why he's a different personality. Sometimes, yes, we like lyrics. You say you like lyrics, but there's sometimes someone could be so lyrical. I don't know what you're talking about, bro. Like it's a song. So I think so. If you listen to a
Yeah,
lot of this stuff now, it's just so up there and a lot of metaphors and a lot of, and sometimes he'll just be rapping and rapping and rapping. I'm like, yeah, I'm feeling it. This is really good. Where's the song? Like,
yeah,
what's the
yeah,
like? Where's
yeah.
the
He's like
hits?
he's doing too much. He's being too cute. Like he's like trying too hard, maybe.
And I think they have some people more like pure, like a pure lyricist rap. This is real hip hop, like kind of that KRS-One kind of get
Yeah,
off my lawn kind of thing. This is real rap. Like, yeah, but this ain't put in the radio. People ain't blasting in their car. I still listen to the first probably 2 albums of his. Maybe if had more, and that's the thing too. When the first album he was with I think Wyclef. Wyclef
oh yeah,
knows how to make us, I guess, a mainstream kind of arts. And for some reason they had an issue, and was like, I'm just gonna go and just keep rapping, do this high level, lot of lyricism with no good hook.
yeah. No
Like,
production
well, then
value
it's not gonna
behind it,
work.
maybe. Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
but it's interesting you said overhyped.
Oh yeah, I got him on my
We have
overhyped
a
list.
battle rapper. I don't know anyone would mess with him. I would not battle rap. Oh, I would not recommend anyone to battle rap him. Like he's very good. It's just he can't make a hit. I
Yeah,
think that's he just can't make a good song. Like
yeah,
in terms of listening to it.
yeah.
What else is we'll consider it's overrated, underrated. But yeah, I think AZ is underrated. What's your underrated list? If you say you have
Underrated. I had Ghostface Killer on. I don't think we talk about him enough. I had Common. Big Pun. Big Pun. Capital Punishment is to me a classic hip hop album, and it's not because he's Puerto Rican and he's representing. That's maybe a little bit, but you got to understand. In high school, that comes out, and I'm like, who's this big fat Puerto Rican dude
let's talk
representing
about
for?
him. Let's talk
Let's
about him
talk.
for a few minutes.
So Big Pun was, I mean, lyrically phenomenal.
Yeah.
Could rap fast. Could slow it down.
How?
Also, another dude
Can you explain
I
how
don't
he was
know.
able to do that? He
I
was
don't,
700 pounds.
dude. I don't. But there's no skips on that album. It's a class. It's a hip hop classic in my book, Capital Punishment. The skits, the interludes, it's fantastically
He's
produced.
funny. He was a funny dude.
It's funny. But he's a good storyteller. Packing the Mac in the back of the act is this little skit he did with Cuban Link. Like it's just a phenomenal album. There's no skips. I know every song on the album, so he doesn't get enough due. But he only had 2. And the second album he made was right. He passed away, similar to Biggie, and then his album comes out. So really sad, actually.
Yeah.
But
Yeah, that Fat Joe, Big Pun twins. Every once in a while, listen to Deep Cover 98.
Oh, Deep
He
Cover.
has that lyric. He has that line. I'm not even gonna try to It's
I
just
did middly, diddly, yeah, I
yeah,
can't
it's
do
like
it.
the level
Middleman
of
in Italy.
syllables. It's like, yo,
It's
how the
phenomenal,
f you
dude.
did that? And it's clear. It's not again rapping fast. You still able to pronounce the words.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely pun was the guy. Again, if he would have, I think a lot of his issues was obviously eating, and they were telling him to stop, and he
Yeah, they
wouldn't
did.
stop. He would perform
Yeah.
sitting down because
Yeah.
he couldn't stand up for too long. Like
I mean, you got
eventually,
he was when he was younger, when he was just a street dude, good looking dude, was small, skinny, got with his wife, got blew up. Then he got money, never had it, and then he
yeah.
started eating good, So, but he's on my list. Most Def, completely underrated.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Redman, the chat's mentioned some of those guys. Most Def, I mean, fantastic couple albums. Eminem had one album in the '90s, and that was his LP, the Slim Shady LP or whatever, like this first album. That album to me, I wasn't a big fan of it because like he was just talking too crazy for me, like talking about putting his mom in trunks and killing his baby mama. Like I couldn't relate to it, but then I think he got better as time went along. But Eminem did have an album in the '90s. Some of us might
Did you
remember that.
listen to his real first album that came out in 1996?
No,
Name is called Infinite.
no, never.
It's on. I don't know if it's actually on Spotify. I
I'm
was
gonna
listening
write
to
that
it on
down.
YouTube,
Uh-huh.
and it had a full album there.
How is it?
It's okay. He's trying to rap like everybody else.
Yeah.
Like he's actually having a song where he's talking about like everyone having a good time at a party kind of thing.
Yeah, that's not the Eminem I want. Yeah,
And
I'm
it
good.
flopped. That's why Eminem went angry and was like, I'm gonna just talk about what I want to talk about. That's why
Yeah.
the Slim Shady kind of alter ego came out because Infinite was a really like the guy can put rhymes together. He was trying to fit in with everybody else, and he realized that no, dude, you're gotta do the.
Yeah,
It's
he's
just you being berserk is just saying outrageous things. But yeah, that came out I but everyone says that Slim Shady is the real first album, but no, man, he released
I
one.
didn't know that. Thanks for giving me some education, man.
Yeah, man. It's decent. You ain't gonna feel. I don't think you're gonna be like this is the best thing I ever heard.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
not every debut album is strongest. Some people it takes a minute to kind of get what works for them. But yeah, it's I guess it's all about really what works for you. Let's talk about some female rappers up in here.
Yeah, Lauryn Hill, obviously. Listen,
Oh,
Lauren, the thumbnail you put out, it's got Lauryn Hill. Like, bro, I need to get that picture. Like, she just looks amazing. Number one, let's just give her a shout out for
yeah,
that.
I
Number
mean,
one, okay.
multi-talented. She can sing really well. She can rap. She can act. She was in a
She can
few
act,
movies. I think she was in what Sister Act.
Sister Act. Yeah,
My
yeah,
wife
yeah.
loved those two movies. But she's extremely talented. I mean, that was one of the
Yeah.
best albums ever,
Simplicity ever. You
regardless
could
of genre, like ever.
facts. Yes, I actually bought. Probably about 8 years ago, maybe 6 years ago, I bought my oldest daughter, Gabby, that album because I wanted her just to have it. It's like, just listen to this when it just, this is really, really good music. I just want you to listen to this music. Right. And she didn't really know who she was, but absolutely, man. I mean, and people been wanting her to do more. And it's like, why? She's like, I'm good. I'm not trying to be part of the machine. I made my album, my classic. The Fugees, she was with the Fugees and did her thing over
Yeah,
there.
I
So
wish she would made more music.
yeah, I hear you.
Because of
I hear you.
that song, she talks about everything, relationships, self-image, expressing yourself,
Yeah.
and it went for men and women. I mean, the one song where she kind of talks to women, yet get yourself together, men, get yourselves together. Like it was such an amazing album. Won like a 10,000 Grammys, and she was like, "Yeah, I'm done. I'm out."
Yeah.
Like that was it. You're thinking, damn, this made me like the next biggest star, and not everybody's interested in, like I said, being a part of the machine.
Yeah.
It could take away a lot of your soul, as you can see. Like maybe we can really talk about some of the issues the rap industry or just music industry in general, how they kind of. I always say they take advantage of people. I would say they take advantage of people and put
Yeah.
them in really bad music deals and stuff like that.
Well, I think a lot of it has to do with, and this is music overall and in other genres as well. But I think what we have to understand about hip hop, and most of us know, is when you're becoming hip hop artist, you're probably coming from poverty, right? You're coming from a place where you didn't have
Right.
a lot. That's part of the why you're making this great music, because you're speaking of a story and it's emotional for you and you're invested. And then, okay, you know what? Once you sign this contract, I'll give you $1 million. You do 5 albums. It's like $1 million. What? We rich.
Mhm.
And then that $1 million is gone in a couple of years, but you still got to make albums, and then they become watered down because they're not great. And I think we've seen that in hip hop and in R&B actually, and it's sad, but I think what's cool about these young guys now, at least, is like I think they know it. So I think some of the younger, like the more current people, aren't taking advantage as much as some of these '90s artists.
Right.
But speaking of women, you got the Brat, Foxy Brown, Little Kim, Missy Elliott, Super Duper Fly, whatever. That was a '90s album. Those are some of the ones I had written down for me, at least.
Yeah, I love Missy because she came out of nowhere. She wasn't showing her body, like in terms of trying. She was just, I'm gonna wear a trash bag and then I'm going to make you laugh. It will be interesting.
Yeah.
Timbaland with the beach is just going to destroy everything and it's going to be catchy. It doesn't matter. You're going to enjoy this. And yeah, I think, yeah, definitely. I think it was super amazing. I love the videos. They were interesting. They were creative. People dancing. It was a lot going on. And yeah, I loved everything. And I wish she'd made more music. You know what I mean? Like she kind of did her thing and then she kind of fell back. But
yeah,
damn, it was a really good career that she had. I'm trying to think of like what's the best year of the 90s in terms of hip hop releases.
Ooh, you know what? That's a great question. For me, 95 through 97.
Yeah.
Those, it's hard. I couldn't pick one year, but if you go 95 to 97, that's your classics are right in that 3-year window, in my opinion. As far as the 90s go, Jay-Z had an album, Biggie, Pac, Nas, Outkast. I mean, there's just the list goes on and on. I mean, Fugees, Mobb Deep was in that area, Pac. 95, 97 for me is 95 through 97 for me is the best 3-year run in hip hop, in my opinion.
Yeah. I'm looking at 98, and that's where Big Pun came in. That was actually when DMX debut album came in. Oh, that's a pretty strong. That's a pretty strong
year.
debut. I'm wondering when did Big L came in? I mean, he was only there for a quick minute, but
94 is it maybe? Double check
yeah,
that.
I'm gonna check that. Big L, that's another guy that
I was listening to his album the other day. I sent it to you. Yeah, man. Too young.
Unfortunately, yeah, 95 Lifestyles of the
95,
Poor
okay.
and Dangerous.
I think he had a mixtape or something before, but
I believe so.
his one album that he actually made that was like technically an album was that one. Yeah.
Yeah. Apparently he was a victim of gang violence that was aimed at his family, not directly intended for him, but he was still in the hood doing, just living in his community. And he was one of those guys, because I think Jay-Z and Dame was trying to sign him. They knew the talent. Jay-Z was actually on the album, just like, just jumped in with the rest of them. Very good. He was,
he would have went places.
He was wild. Yeah, he was wild. I mean, some of the lyrics he would throw in there, like, damn, like,
yeah,
like, that's you know what? Back then, you was able to say more. Now, if you put that album out, even the Eminem, Slim Shady, you couldn't put that album out, right? They were like, no, you can't release this.
He canceled. Yeah, he would have been canceled for sure.
But yeah, I think Marty had a good comment right here. Bad Boy Records.
Bad Boy, yeah.
That's why I have such a conflicted feeling about them, because they Puffy was grabbing. He had Biggie, he had Mace, he had R&B acts, he had Total, he had 112,
The Lox,
Black
Rob.
He had all the a solid group, and he was pushing it. Like, so I think Gardner said before, it was him keeping East Coast in some kind of relevance, because it wasn't, no one cared. It was all about what Dr. Dre was producing. And I just feel like he did all those, Puffy did all those people wrong in one way or another. Like it all just crashed. He had this super powerful group of artists, and he floundered. I don't know where Total is. Faith Evans, where are these people?
Faith Evans, yeah, man. I don't know. We're missing somebody too. Who else did he? I already mentioned Black Rob. There was somebody else he had.
Greg Mack,
Greg
Flavor in the
Mack.
Air.
Remember G Dep? Remember G Dep?
Oh yeah, I don't know if G Dep was '90s. I
No, I
liked
think
him,
he
even
early.
though
I
he
think
was
he's
like
early 2000. I think he's early 2000,
he
2001,
didn't like
2002.
he didn't like rapping on the beat, but
Yeah.
no. But I liked it. Special delivery and the Harlem Shake
Yeah,
and all that.
special delivery. Yeah. Big time.
Bobby put in a comment: overrated Mace.
You know,
Uh,
what do you feel about that? I have my list of overhyped. We can get into that next. What's your feelings on Mace?
Mace before he put on the shiny suit, actually, because Mace was Harlem with Cameron,
Harlem
and
World. Yeah.
I'm a big fan of Cameron. I know some, he could be a little, not saying corny, but some of the lyrics are a little, they feel lazy, but that's just his style, and that's how they all act like that in
And
Harlem.
he had that couple years. He's all that pink and stuff. He looked.
Yeah,
Remember that?
people were
Remember that?
wearing pink.
Yeah. Yeah.
They were wearing it. Like I'll
Yeah.
be in a train station and dude come in pink Timbs,
Everything.
pink fitted, and I'm like,
Everything.
wow, this is interesting. Like he actually made that a popular thing. Cameron's a big deal.
Mm-hmm.
So before Mace jumped in and became, because he was Murder Mace, but then Puffy was like, listen, you got to put on this shiny shit on because we're gonna
Yep.
make some. You're gonna be a pretty boy Mace.
Rolex side to side. All that's coming.
You're
Yeah.
gonna be feeling good. We're gonna put some feeling good type of sample. You're gonna do that. You could say, he kind of came in underrated. He was just trying to make the radio hit. So I could say if someone said Mace is underrated, I'm like, yeah, or overrated. I
Overrated.
wouldn't argue against that.
Yeah.
What do you think?
I had him on my list for overhyped.
Yeah.
Along with I had Cannabis written down.
Yeah.
I have Will Smith written down.
All right. Oh,
I think he's just, he's for a certain type, and not for me.
Listen, you guys are just trashing because he went crazy and slapped that guy.
No.
Will Smith real quick. Well, you can finish.
He had some. I just not a big. Anyways, Ja Rule to me is
no.
Yeah, Ja Rule's overhyped, bro. Overhyped.
He was the man for like 2-3 years.
He was, but I bought the albums. I bought them, but too watered down for me. It became too much. Nelly, he's a St. Louis guy. I know Nelly to me overhyped. That's
but we talk about 90s.
Well, his Country Grammar was in the 90s. His first album.
You say so you don't like that album? Okay. Or you saying it's over? Okay.
I'm just saying overall, like he started. And I have one on here that we're probably gonna make a lot of people mad, but I got to be true to myself. Okay, we've mentioned him earlier. Mm-hmm. It's no hate, it's no shade, but just in my opinion, he has one good album, and it's a classic. It is a classic. It could be in the top 10 of hip hop albums of all time, and I would not argue with it. But he only has one. Snoop is overhyped, in my opinion. He is. He's overhyped. He went to No Limit. No Limit. His No Limit albums are complete garbage. He had 5-6 years in a row. He didn't make any good music. So for me, Snoop Dogg is he's a icon. He's a legend. But if you look at all his music, the other 20 guys we named, he's behind all of them. So that's why I say he's overhyped, in my opinion.
Interesting.
Yeah.
I'm trying to see what else he did. I know.
What did he do after Doggy Style?
Came in.
He did The Godfather.
I think he almost went to jail for murder.
Mm-hmm.
He made some songs about that. That was pretty good. When he left to other he needed Dre. Like Dr. Dre makes people sound really, really good, right? Like I think, I want to say 50 Cent. I think 50 Cent would have made it regardless, but putting him 50 Cent again, we're not talking about 90s, but
look at Battle Axe 82. Snoop probably the most overrated rapper of all time.
I feel like Snoop got on and he didn't care, and he was like, I was gonna make, be famous and make music. That's probably it. I know he went weird, and then we're going past 90s with, he made like a weird album where he started singing sexual explosions. I forgot.
Yeah, he was. Yeah, he got. I'm not talking in the 90s. He's got Doggy Style. Cool. It's all good.
Which is a pretty. And then he was on Dre's album too. Like, so it's hard to say he's overrated for the 90s though.
Maybe.
For the 90s overall, yeah. I don't think anyone puts Snoop on their top anything. Yeah,
You don't
definitely
think
not.
so? I think some
No.
people. I think some people do because, like you said, he's got a lot of like club banger, like Bob Your Head, Boom Boom. He did,
Yeah.
Murder Was a Case and America's Most Wanted with Pac, and he's got the Dr. Dre songs, and he was just at the Super Bowl, but like after Doggy Style, he doesn't have another good album. He doesn't. He doesn't have one good album after Doggy Style. The Godfather album he did, trash. Everything with No Limit, trash. So he's got a few songs sprinkled into other people's albums, but
Yes, yes. Snoop Upside Your Head is probably was not the best
it's
song.
not. It's just. I mean, it's just not. It don't do it for
You know
me.
what? You know what?
So
I'll get. You know
that's
what?
that's my
I'll give you
list
that. I
of
still won't
overhype.
say he's. I mean, Doggy Style is pretty good.
No, it is.
Gin and Juice is one of the best songs I ever heard. Like,
It
what's
is.
my name?
It's a fantastic album. It's a hip hop classic. I still have the CD. I still have it. I own
Yeah.
it. But after that,
You know
nothing.
what? After all right, you've been saying nonsense that entire time, but I will give you the Snoop being overrated. Now, how Ja Rule was overrated in we're talking about the 90s. Ja
Yeah,
Rule was the man. I mean, yeah, you can
yeah,
say he was trying to copy too much of Pac's style
a little bit, and his look.
and
Yeah,
his look.
yeah,
But Ja Rule, I mean, now he's a punchline, but Ja Rule in the 90s, the first two albums, it's hard, and he was able to still be an aggressive rapper, drug dealer, whatever, and still make like popular music that we played in the radio.
great point. Great point. Great point.
Um,
Great. You're
and he
not
was
wrong.
he was able to hold his own. Like he had a few songs with Jay-Z and DMX. He was able to hold his own. So I could see why 2000 and going on where he went more pop and then he embarrassed himself going after 50 Cent
Whatever he
that
did there.
one.
Yeah,
That's my contention. Now Will Smith, I think you just don't like corny rapper, huh? You don't like the corny.
I think you're
Your
right.
parents don't understand. You don't like that.
I mean, I like it. The Summertime song is a great song, and
I love that
but
song.
like, I'm just Will Smith is just a little overhyped for me. He's a great actor, but for me, rapping wise, it's just a little too. Nah, that's
Yeah.
not what I'm looking for from my rap, at least. So I just
Okay. All right.
can't get down.
Well, you know what? Like I said, I give you the Snoop. You said Will Smith. I guess I would try to keep at least a idea of okay. A lot of rappers from the 80s, it's hard to keep it going because like we talked about last week, it was very not say simple, but 90s it just to elevate the complexity
Yeah,
of producing and lyrics and the style. It just was so fast that I mean, if Will Smith was really like I'm gonna be a rapper, he wouldn't have started acting. He would have not been on a TV show. But once you're on a TV show, you're making how much money per episode? You give a
right,
damn about rapping, like
right.
it'll be it'll be a side hustle. And also, Will Smith he played in Bad Boys in the 90s, Independence Day. I watched that.
Yeah.
Yes,
Oh,
I watched that stupid alien movie every 4th of July for some reason.
him and Forrest Gump are the two biggest actors in the '90s, probably, right? Like those
Yeah,
guys were
like
making.
so I think he just
Not Forrest
started.
Gump, Tom Hanks. That's what I meant.
Yeah, and I
but those are the two
movie.
actors. Like Tom
Yeah.
Hanks and Will Smith were the guys in the '90s.
But yeah, and that's the thing too. Like, what happened? Is it? And again, I don't watch TV. I don't think you watch as much TV as I do either. Like,
I don't watch.
what
TV,
happened where hip hop, where they had like really good, high quality TV shows and movies? Like the 90s had it all. Again, are we just being old curmudgeon men? Where like maybe there are some great TV shows and movies based in hip hop or rappers acting. I don't know. I don't see it. It's just Ice-T playing, and he has a couple of one-liners, and no one takes him seriously in that Law and Order show. Like other than that, like 90s was so influenced with. They even had Arsenio Hall. Like they had the talk shows. Everything was just so in depth, or I guess, hip hop was so ingrained in the culture. I feel like it's a big deal now, but I don't see the movies and TV shows the same the way they were in the 90s.
Yeah, I think you bring up a good point. I think in the '90s, I think it was like, coming out of the '80s, you had the Cosby Show, right? And I think the Cosby Show was also in maybe the early part of the '90s. So you saw
definitely. It was
saw like one of the first black families on TV. They were successful. the mom and dad are married. They got these great kids. The wife's, beautiful. She speaks all these languages. Bill Cosby's funny. It was just a great show, right? At the time, like, we didn't know what Bill Cosby was about, but hey, that's fine. But
Yeah,
in the
very
80s,
smart.
so then we transition, we transitioned into these great shows. We mentioned some of them earlier that had this cultural and also hip hop background, Martin. You had the different In Living Color, right?
Yeah.
Uh,
Living Color had a rap, basically a performance at the end. It's kind of like Saturday Night Live for
right, Saturday Night Live, but for the culture, right? So,
yeah,
and you just don't now. I feel like what we see on TV from a hip hop standpoint is just so kind of like more more poppy and more mainstream, right?
yeah,
So it just, for those of us that remember the 90s, the late 80s, 90s, early 2000s, it doesn't vibe, right? So then you have this new generation, which is fine, right? Younger, and that's what they look at hip hop. They see it as more like poppy and like it's TikTok, it's like all this dance stuff, and
corporate.
it's more corporate. That's a great
Yeah,
way.
I
That's a
think
great way of
yeah, it
saying
just
it.
kind of came in like the yeah, it's so corporate and
Yeah.
packaged. And I
Yes.
feel
Yes.
like with when you listen to a performance on Arsenio Hall's show, or is it in Living Color, like you debut out. I still remember Arsenio Hall performance with Tribe Called Quest, and
Mm,
they were rapping Scenario, and Busta Rhymes came out,
mm.
and how he took over that when he had his verse, and that's basically how he got signed to his own deal. He's like, yo, who is this guy? And he had
Yeah, we
the
didn't
same
mention
verse.
Busta Rhymes earlier.
Oh
Good
yeah,
call.
oh yeah,
Good call.
Busta
Busta,
Rhymes.
dude? Yeah.
Oh, I
Good
thought.
call.
I hope you didn't put him as on.
No, 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 no. He's not.
He's
No,
definitely. I
he's
don't know if
not
he's
on the list.
underrated. I think so. I think the one when people say, and we're going to talk about the '90s though, but his best hits were in the '90s. No
Mm-hmm.
one really mentions Busta Rhymes as like all time great, but he's damn good at what he does,
Yeah.
and
Oh,
he
yeah.
performs his ass off. If you ever watch him live, he puts all of it because he's Jamaican artists. They just pull out energy in their performances and stage. And I love his videos. Had
Mm-hmm.
very interesting, fun videos where I forgot that one screen, that one kind of shot where he's like, what, I don't know where he got that from. I'm sure he got that from some kind of comedy show. Like he's just going, it's like a narrow kind of path, and he's just walking funny
Yeah.
with the camera. The lens is like in a weird
It's
kind
like
of
it's like in a weird spot, and he's like coming at the
yeah,
camera.
yeah.
It's like,
Like
yeah, yeah.
but yeah, it so like those kind of shows. And somebody put a comment, Tyler Perry happened.
I saw
Tyler calls a paradigm
that.
shift in the black. Something went wrong. Something went wrong. Jay, I think you're trying to say J Lo. It was a dancer.
J. She was, man.
Very good
Yeah,
dancer.
J Lo.
They
J
had
Lo.
they had the what they call them, fly girls.
Fly girl.
On the
She was a
fly
fly
girls.
girl,
Yeah,
man.
they're
Yeah.
dancing. But yeah, it's just not the same. I think everything is still on the internet now, and it's on YouTube, but no, it's not the same. It used to be on the TV, and you couldn't wait to have these kind of shows on, and it's a whole
It's
different
different.
floor right now.
It's a different vibe, man. And it's not that it's in some ways it could be worse now, but there's a lot of still good things happening, but it's just different, man. It's probably we're probably the old guys and we want the nostalgia. We want the living single and Queen Latifah and Maxine, and like we want, Martin was just hilarious, and we want Eddie Murphy raw. Like all this is part of the hip hop culture, in my opinion, right?
Yeah,
And now it's just a little bit different, and that's okay. But for me, the '90s is where it was at, man. There's just so much. It just went to a whole nother area, and in the 2000s, I think kind of continued that. But the '90s, man, if I can go back, I just remember buying these CDs and listening to them over and over. You could open up the booklet and look at the words, right? And you're learning new dialogue and language from different parts of, New York has all, depending on what borough, you call money 20 different things. You call a blunt 20 different things. You call a girl 20, but I don't live in New York, but I can get that flavor just from listening to music. And that's what I
yeah,
love about hip hop is that you get to, and the same with the West Coast. They call things, this is different, right? But you get to learn about different parts of the world through music. And that's how I experienced it, at least as a kid. I never got anything, those few years for me being probably like seventh grade to like a junior in high school. That those years there was just it's where I learned about hip hop. So I just, it's hard. It feels good to talk about it. So
You know, as we, during that time, we are growing as men, right? And I'm sure everyone in
hmm
the chat kind of, I think we're all around the same age. And, I was always a shy kid. So I didn't get to talk to as many girls growing up as I used to, or compared to, a little later on in life. But when I was able to get Little Kim's CD or Foxy Brown CD, and then take out the take out go and check out the pictures, and okay,
yeah,
I
yeah,
was looking
yeah,
at the lyrics.
yeah. Where are you going with this? Where are you going with this?
Yeah, no, I'm just saying. Well, where I'm going with it in terms of how sexuality is displayed back then, and we
Mhm.
see the poses Lil Kim had, and a
Yeah,
lot of it was, hey, sex sell, let's bring that together. And same with Foxy Brown, but I don't think Foxy Brown didn't go to the extent Lil Kim did, would basically spread the ego kind of with the
on the
lollipop
cover of the album.
and a
Yeah,
cover album. So, yes, young boys full of testosterone looking at it, and then just looking at the lyrics and nothing else.
dude. In high school, just before you go on. In high school, I'd walk the halls. All my boys, they had that CD album in they open up their what do you call it? The locker, and that was everybody had that Little Kim up in their
We were
locker.
all big fans of her work. uh, and that looks like that was the beginning of, let's be honest. I mean, we all enjoy it, but it was the over
Yeah,
sexualized, person, right? Like we
yeah,
look at her, we all thinking of, animalistic thoughts of what we would like to do. But I think that's where it started with her and Foxy Brown. And I don't know if Trina was part of the 90s.
Trina was. I think she was a little more 2000s, maybe
Yeah.
latter part of the 90s, but she took it to a whole nother level because even her rapping stuff was nasty, bro.
Yeah.
Trina, well, she got that from Trick
Oh,
Daddy. I
yeah.
think she was Trick Daddy's little, yeah. But
Yeah.
Trina was on another level. Yeah.
Yeah, because I think because beginning of the night, beginning was MC Light. Never ever did that. Very attractive.
Queen
Never had
Latifah.
to do it. Queen Latifah. Never had to do that. Salt and Pepper. They play with it a little bit. Like they had an album released early 90s. They play with it. Let's talk about sex. Not like I'm
They
gonna
weren't
show you
putting their
my body.
bodies out there like that, though.
Yeah, they
Yeah.
were still wearing those jumpsuits, shiny, colorful stuff, nice, cool hairstyle. But yeah, Lil Kim, I think I would say they changed the game with that. Where now, even though we're talking about the names, but to present day, all these women who are in the rap game, and not all of them, some don't do it, but most of them follow the same
Yeah.
path that Lil Kim, like Nicki followed that, Cardi B followed it, Megan followed that. Be as overly sexual as possible. And I think right now it's just so overblown. It's so repetitive. We all like you can go to IG and see 1,000 women who look
Yeah.
exactly the same. It's
We're not going to
nothing.
be surprised anymore. When Little Kim put that, when that album cover is like, whoa, what's happening here? Now that's a
I'm
normal.
interested.
That's normal. That's
Yeah.
normal, right? So they normalized it a little bit.
Yeah, I think but she did it. It was interesting. She had some good songs because I know, like, I don't know if she was writing everything. I know Big was probably writing a good amount. It blew that up into now, what we see right now. And sometimes it's good, sometimes it's not. But just talking about CDs, man, like that was the thing, right? CDs. I had some tapes, but it was a CD. It was like I said, that was like you own a piece of music compared to now where it's just downloaded to your phone. You don't
Yeah.
have that same level of ownership. Actually, I have a vinyl player. I want to get some vinyls. I gotta start buying some,
Mhm.
just to get some, like to get that something tangible you can hold in your hand. I think that's pretty cool. So I think I'm gonna try to do that.
Yeah, I remember, I had some CDs, but CDs were also around at the same time when you had tapes. So I remember going to like the swap meets or whatever you call them, right? The bodega store around the corner, and I'd buy the tape still. And I
Mhm.
remember buying a couple Tupac tapes, and it was like they weren't legit. They were like burner copies. You could tell because like the front part of that little tape wasn't like it was like a faded kind of piece of paper in there, right? And it didn't have like all the lyric. It was just different, but it was like a burner. Like, you get it from like secondhand, whatever.
Mhm.
And I remember the tapes though, and having CDs and going to, Blockbuster Music at the time on a Tuesday and waiting for the new album to come out and listening to it, buying it, whatever. Back in the day, man, I was a knucklehead. I used to steal CDs, man. If I didn't have money, but I wanted to listen to that Jay-Z Reasonable Doubt, I remember I stole that from a venture store in St. Louis. Like, I literally took it off the shelf, put it in my pocket, right? And, that stuff, the kids don't even know what that's about anymore because now everything's downloadable. But CDs, man, that's CDs and tapes, man. That's the good old days for me.
I'm looking through some stuff and I forgot like some of the stuff was released in the 90s, and now I remember because 98 may be in terms of the year.
Yours? Yeah.
I mean, Jay-Z finally breaks through with Volume 2, Hard Not Life. Like because basically after B.I.G. passed away, like who was going to be the guy who's running New York in terms of being, and I think Jay-Z comes in with Hard Knock Life. That was his like album that kind of like, okay, this guy is it.
Yeah.
And then DMX comes in with his debut, It's Dark and Hell's Hot. And that's dark. DMX is one of those artists that I still listen to his music, as especially when you're in the mood, and he just puts you in that mood. It's just very personal and intense, and you could tell he is going through some really crazy stuff. Didn't have the kind of life, personal, growing up as he should have had. Father leaving him, dealing with drugs and alcohol, and his partner, his love for dogs, obviously, and it's just hardcore and grimy. And that first video that I've seen, I thought I was gonna get a seizure. Like, dude, that flashing, crazy. I forgot what he performed at. Special artist, man, and it's sad that he passed. Like, he was still fighting those demons, but that album is, and then he's at the end, he's in, you could tell he wants to be a religious person. Like, he believes in God. He's kind of trying to talk to him about, how, show me the right path. Like, he was just a very, I guess, tormented soul, if that makes any sense in terms of DMX.
No, I feel that. Yeah, DMX was like, he and he never, I don't think he ever had peace. I remember even seeing him, certain interviews he had with his son. He had a son, I think he was estranged with, and like, he just couldn't, I remember his son coming out to him and saying, "Dad, I want," and he just like dismissed his son. I was like, damn, DMX is still fighting those same demons 30 years later. It's like, it's really sad, man. It really is.
Yeah. But hopefully, but that album really connected with me. Then he releases another album. What's the name of it? He's drenching blood. I think
the blood. He's in the back. Yeah. Oh man, I can't remember.
My flesh, blood of my blood.
Of my blood. Right. Yeah, that's a good album.
He goes again with so apparently he's the first rap artist. I just looked up just now. First rap artist to have 2 #1 albums in one
same year. Yeah.
Damn, he was a special one in a generation talent, even call it in sports terminology. But and actually, we didn't talk. I think someone did mention about white rappers. Now, it was Eminem,
Bubba Sparxxx,
other people. Was Bubba Sparxxx in the 90s?
Oh yeah, late 90s. Okay. Yeah.
Oh yeah, I'll mess with him.
Sure. Yeah.
But what about the rap rock people? Groups. What happened to Limp Bizkit and Korn and Kid Rock? Did you mess with any of that? I could be honest.
I know those groups, but no, I didn't. I couldn't. I know some of the songs like Limp Bizkit, but I never bought an album. Wasn't into that. Sugar Hill, I think, or Sugar Ray, anyways. I
know you're talking about Sugar Ray. Yeah,
yes,
he was kind of rappy too.
Yeah, kind of rappy. I didn't get into any of that stuff at all. No.
Yeah.
I listened to like alternative music, but I would listen to like Soundgarden, Nirvana, things like that. I never got into
I think you would like Korn. Stuff. I think you would like Korn. Yeah. I think Korn's low of all those two. Limp Bizkit actually came out recently, and it's funny how like 2000 after 2020 things just went weird and people came that you didn't see anymore. Like, it's just kind of brought a lot of artists back that you thought like, what happened to them? Like, oh, they released an album. You may like Korn. Oh wow, Korn is on tour right now. Well,
I know they had a big. When I was in high school, they had a big album out. I remember. I can envision seeing the album cover right now and the KORN. Like, it was a big deal. I remember, but I just never got into it, man. Yeah, I
Yeah.
would listen. I listen to more R&B. I would hip hop, and I would listen to certain R&B things, but like before, I would listen to that kind of music. So
Which made, I feel you. I wasn't a big Kid Rock fan. I
no,
wasn't a big Limp
no,
Bizkit fan either. But they were very,
they
very
were very
big deal.
popular.
Yeah,
I
people.
dated I dated a lot of girls that like Kid Rock, but I never like. I remember I was asked to go to like a Kid Rock concert. This was probably early two, and I literally told her I was like, I can't go. I don't like Kid Rock. I just can't. It's not my vibes. She's like, you're not gonna go with me? You don't want to go? I was like, no, I don't want to go. I just turned it down. Like, nope, I'm
You
good.
don't want to waste, the ticket, or
Nope,
going over
nope.
there.
Take somebody else.
Oh, somebody put in Marty put in ICP.
Oh, Insane Clown Posse? Yeah, yeah,
I
big. I
wasn't
never
into
got into them, but
that.
I remember them. Yeah,
Yeah.
I remember those
What
guys.
else? What else? What they got? Juicy J, 3 6 Mafia. Oh yeah,
Oh,
definitely.
3 6 all day, man. Yeah.
Pimp C, Project Pat. I love
Project
Project
Pat.
Pat.
Wow.
I saw an interview of him. He sounds like a normal person. For some reason, I thought he would just sound. I don't know. I don't know. It's just the way the way he does his thing. I thought he'd be like a different voice, but he's
Yeah.
like a super cool dude too. But yeah, towards the end of '90s, yeah, Cash Money,
Little
for
Wayne,
the
Cash
99 and
Money. Yeah.
2000, and
Yeah.
just apparently they signed $100 million deal
Yeah. At
with
the time,
Universal.
right? Yeah.
That's impressive. I don't
It
know.
is.
Like, would you have signed, like, you saw these artists, you was like, yeah, this is going to make it. I mean, they did, but I
Oh, they
didn't.
did. They
I
did. Juvenile, man. I mean, that hit. And I think Baby, it was produced those guys or whatever he was doing. He was
Manny Fresh,
Manny Fresh
yeah, the producer, yeah.
and yeah, and Baby. He was part of that. He was part of the Cash Money. He was Manny
He's
Fresh was the
he's
producer.
yeah, he's the one that's we basically was
Put it
running the show.
together. Yeah,
Him
he's
and
running the
other guy.
show,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
then but you gotta you had what? You had Juvenile was the first one, then you had BG with Bling Bling, right? I remember that. And then you
Yeah.
had like a 15 or 16-year-old Little Wayne.
Even younger, I
The
think.
Block is High, maybe even
Yeah.
younger, right? But those
Yeah.
guys had that a different kind of look. They had the the A shirts, the wife beaters, whatever you want to call them, the baggy pants, the Cash Money link, right? They got the bandana, they had the gold teeth. Like it was a whole. They gave him $100 million because I think the machine saw, hey, this is going to be the next No Limit. So let's go ahead and do. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And that's what happened. So
I mean, yeah, I always liked Juvenile. Because I think his first hit was Hot, where he's basically telling you what you're gonna do, what's gonna happen to you if you continue living this kind of life. Like you think you're tough, you think you're gonna go run into problems. Like a lot of his songs were kind of based on like if you continue doing this kind of nonsense, you're gonna go in the wrong direction. And then also obviously back that ass up, which is probably like that's the one song that no matter where you are, if you are in any kind of place where there's a dance floor, club, lounge, that they start hearing that violin, they start hearing that beginning, women will get up and go dance. They're going to get up and dance. They're going to do what they should be doing.
White women, brown women, and black women. And it doesn't matter. You could be at a wedding of all white people. And they don't listen to rap. They listen to country. That song comes on, they dance.
Yeah,
you could be at an all Puerto Rican event, all black event. That song comes on, people are getting up and dancing. So I could not agree with that more. Yeah.
And there's a really, really, really good YouTube video of Manny Fresh explaining how he put the beat together. Fascinating. Like you see him, he's just grabbing different kinds of sounds.
I'm gonna have to check that out.
And I mean, Manny Fresh was the glue that kept that together because it was his beats that gave him those hits. I mean, he put that beat together and it sounded amazing. Yeah, and yeah, you're right. Whoever Universal was running the show put a good bet on. Like, give them this $100 million because they're gonna bring it back tenfold. And
absolutely,
they're the ones that kind of came and brought into went into the 2000s. Like that was a group, and then Lil Wayne became what Lil Wayne is. But he wasn't a star in Cash Money. It was Juvenile. I think it was probably more BG too. I don't know. Like Lil Wayne was a part of the group. He was with the other guy. Was it Turk?
Lil Turk or Turk? Yeah. There was 4 guys, and Turk was the other one. Yeah. I remember that. I remember them being on the cover. I guess I'm probably a junior in high school. They're on the cover of the Source magazine. I remember this because I get the Source every month, and the four of them are there. They got their wife beaters on. They each got, I remember it like it's yesterday. They got different color bandanas, the gold chains, the teeth, and they're all just standing there. And they're all like me, super skinny, like 100, Lil
Yeah,
Wayne
they
was
were
like
skinny. They were
120
skinny dudes.
pounds,
Yeah.
all little dudes, not tough looking, right? Usually your rappers kind of being maybe a little tough looking. And I'm like, who are these dudes on the cover of this magazine, right? And then you learn a little bit about them, and then the song comes on and it blows up back at that,
Yeah.
and it was over from there. So
I know I'm gonna keep coming back to this, but I think 1998 is the
98
best.
to a year.
It's
Okay.
DMX. Is DMX is dark and is hot. It's dark and hell is hot. Jay-Z, Volume 2, Hard Knock Life. Lauryn Hill, The Miseducation of Lauryn Hill.
Mm-hmm.
Aquemini
Mm-hmm.
from Outkast. Tribe Called Quest, The Love Movement.
Mm-hmm.
Not the best, but pretty damn good.
Big Pun,
Big Pun
98. Yeah.
came in with that. I think that's the strongest one. I don't know. I think that's the strongest year. Those are really good albums.
Those are good albums, man.
Yeah,
You're not wrong about that.
Yeah. And Master P was doing this thing in '98 too, throwing out the hits, and he had a really good crop. Did you like Silk the Shocker?
Are you okay? Are you a Master P fan? Because actually, I have him on my. Well, are you a Master P No Limit fan? Were you album every week, new album every week? Everybody from the hood had an album and a record deal. He had everybody. I remember No Limit had an album out every month. They had a new album.
I would say they were okay to me. They didn't. The hits were the hits. I wasn't a big fan. Silk the Shocker was a little bit too offbeat rhyming for me. I did like Mystical though, but I don't think Mystical he didn't become his own until probably after, because I don't know when he went on his own and went and Pharrell just blessed him with some really great beats of Danger and I forgot the other damn song. But so no, I wasn't a huge fan.
I had Master P on my overhyped list.
Okay.
But
as a businessman, a mogul, genius. I mean, he still has his money compared to all these other rappers. Like he knew how to make money, how to put everything to go.
I mean, he signed Snoop. Snoop was on No Limit. He signed Snoop.
Bad
he
deal,
made 2-3 bad deal for everybody, But I think he had, Silk the Shocker. C Murder, right? That was his brother. Yeah, he went to jail for
murder.
For murder, yeah. C Murder.
Yeah.
But I think he had, they had I remember what I liked most about No Limit, and that I remember when I was in that time, was they had those movies. I'm About It, Ice Cream Man, or what. He had a few movies, right? And then before he got to be before they started throwing money at him, and he did the Hook Me Up and Hook Me Up 20 and whatever. He had the I'm About It movie and another one, and I kind of thought that he had a good portrayal of his neighborhood, and it was just real, it was kind of raw, but I remember watching those, right?
Yeah.
But I wasn't a big No Limit guy. I thought it's completely watered down, an album every month. Everybody that he knew, he became a rap star. The beats were great. Some of the beats were really good.
Yeah.
But he had the one guy I liked the most was, I think his name was Fiend. And he had a couple good songs on his album, and he was a No Limit artist. But everybody else was just I'm good. This wasn't my style.
I guess you could say that he was trying to put his people on. I always appreciate the hustle, appreciate what he did. But yeah, the songs, the music was, he had a few hits. And I think Mystical, Bobby says best artist, probably. I mean, and I like necessarily was his lyrics, it's just his performance, his charisma. I think it kind of just worked for him. And it's going back to what you're saying, the ability to make movies and TV shows based on what you want to do. Where's that happening? Again, I'm just going back to the current state of hip hop. They're not trying to do too much, but they got the brand deals, right? They could do all that, but in terms of making your own, because that's what Master P did. And Master P was actually a good basketball player too.
I was going to mention the Hornets. I don't think he played in the NBA. Maybe it was the summer league.
Some tryouts or something.
He did tryouts, but he actually played in the game with the other NBA players, and he
could ball.
Was a good.
He had some game.
Yeah.
It just they don't have. It's not the same. But again, I think there's probably things happening. We probably need to be more, I guess, try to figure out, okay, what's the current crop of artists? What are they doing in terms of like crafting your own TV shows instead of complaining about why there's not enough representation on this channel? Like,
Yeah.
we'll make your own channel. Like,
Yeah.
you guys have a lot of money, or you guys pretend that you do. Pull some money together, and then you can have your own production companies and stuff like that. I mean, it's all
Yeah.
there. I mean, that's what No Limit did. It's like, all right, cool, we're gonna do it ourselves, and it works.
And it's impressive that, I mean, back then you had these. I think also we got to remember is they had these record labels, right? But they were under an umbrella of a bigger record label. Most of them were, right?
Yeah.
So that but they had these people giving them opportunities. But the hustle mindset of these guys back in the day, people like Puffy, Master P, people like Suge Knight or Dre, like as controversial as some of them might be, these guys had these albums, these record labels. You had So Def, Jermaine Dupri. I mean, these guys were going out and really making money for people around their hood, around their demographic, right? And finding talent in their areas that they lived in. And, So Def, Atlanta, Jermaine Dupri's Atlanta, bro. Brad, I mean, all those guys. I mean, those guys did it. And nowadays it's almost like the way people can make money is so different and unique, whether it's on YouTube or, you got these SoundCloud rappers or whatever, you got people making money, Spotify, like you got people making money on TikTok, you got people making money a lot of different ways, right? Sponsorship and brand deals. We had that in the 90s. You had LL Cool J with Kango. You had, pushing Mecca, the clothing line. You had, but, back then you had people like Sean Combs made Sean John.
Yeah.
You had Jay-Z and Dame Dash, Rockefeller, right? You had, we don't see that as much. You just see the rappers now pushing somebody else's stuff. So like you said, like, why not make your own way? And I don't know if the money's just so big now that they don't feel like they need to.
There's still tons of money in the industry, but no one's interested in doing the clothing line like as much.
Right.
I mean, other than Rihanna, right? Like, and she's like $1 billion. Like, that's actually a big deal. But everyone else is, I don't know.
No, they're gonna wear somebody else's stuff. So it's interesting. I think that hustler mentality. I think it was harder for them to do it that back then, and now it's just easier. So it's like, hey, okay, you want to pay me $5 million to say I wear Gucci? Sure, I'll do it. Like, I don't need to make my own way now.
Yeah. Probably have a good comment. No social media back then. You had to hustle.
Exactly. Now with the social media and stuff, and we're a part of that. We have a podcast on YouTube and stuff, right? Which is fine, right? And it's just easier. Back in the day, two guys like us that liked hip hop, we're going to be on the back. We're going to be at a club at 2 a.m. when everybody's leaving, trying to hand out CDs, right? Or talk about, you see what I'm saying? So the way that it's done and the medium in which it's used is just a lot easier now. So big props to the guys back in the day, the founding fathers of the culture, and doing it in that way, because that's a lot harder, man.
I do miss, or at least I appreciated people out there trying to sell their CDs to you. Like, one of the places, Times Square. Especially in the 90s, when you just walked around and you just chilling, or you just came from the movies, or you went to a store, there were people that would stop you and like, hey, you want to check out my CD? They will freestyle. They'll talk. They'll rap their songs, trying to get on. I think that's one of the things about how I think the Dirty South were able to come together, because they were hustlers. They kind of knew that, these radio stations are going to play our stuff. I'm going to sell the DCs out of the trunk of my car.
Mm-hmm.
And they would collab together. They would work and help each other, compared to the East, where we don't like each other. So we're just all kind of in our own little groups. But down South, they were more like, let's get together. Let's just put, and also they became more business minded. And I think that's why Dirty South kind of came in on their own, especially towards the end, and started making some major waves too. So
yeah, good point.
It's rap, is hip hop is a business. It's obviously culture, but it's a business as well.
Yeah.
So we're talking about movies and TV shows. This is probably a weird question, because it's not necessarily a hip hop, but it kind of is. All the movies you've seen, the hip hop ish movies in the
Mm.
90s, what was your favorite movie? Now, there's a bunch of movies that, like
Mm.
the Boys in the Hood, is Juice, there's Menace to Society, Friday, uh,
Friday's a good one. Yeah,
what else?
man.
There's tons of, I mean, not the Will Smith ones because they were in hip hop. I mean, if you want to
Yeah,
put it in there, but like hip hop, like where you had, like there was rappers in Menace to Society. MC8 was in it, right? Like Juice, obviously Tupac, Poetic Justice, if you want to throw that in there. Tupac
yeah.
and Janet Jackson was in there. Like, what was your your
Man,
favorite these
I
hip hop ish movie?
my brain says Menace to Society because I think that's like one of the first movies I saw when I was a little younger. I was like, damn, like that,
Yeah,
that's a lot going on there, right? And all the violence and the drugs, and it was like growing up in Chicago a little bit, and like my cousins were they weren't living that life, but they were living something kind of similar. So it was kind of like
the
a
Dripper
little
Dad came with a gem up in here.
CB4.
CB4. Oh, I love that movie.
CB4.
Love that movie.
Oh, I love it, love it, love it. Yeah, I think Menace to Society, but um, I think this was right at 90. I think it's right at the cusp. I don't know if it came out in 99 or 2000, but like Love and Basketball is like one of my favorite
Oh,
movies, man. If I'm not gonna only
Pedro, you're
because it's
such a romantic.
basketball, and but don't be a menace in South Central. I drink it.
That's a
Yeah,
good one
the
too.
Wayans brothers.
That
Yeah.
may be a '90s one because it just made fun of all the movies that
Yeah,
came
yeah, yeah,
before it.
yeah. But there
Uh,
was a movie called Blood In and Blood Out. It's like an
that sounds
old.
familiar.
Yeah, it's like a Mexican gang kind of movie. That's kind of a classic.
Yeah,
But I think when Boys in the Hood is probably one that I could watch the most often, only because there's kind of a message and the acting's good and it's
yeah,
definitely nostalgic. Friday's obviously funny, but then also nothing had been done. That portrayal of the West Coast, but then you got Ice Cube and he's a legend, and Chris Tucker, he's funny, and the
yeah.
stories of how all that's happening in the day. It's just and those characters within a neighborhood like that, everybody knows them, right? So you mentioned some good ones, but I think Menace to Society is the one that just kind of popped up in my brain because it's the first movie I had seen that was kind of like it's kind of wild.
Oh yeah, it's got
And there's a movie
colors too.
Colors. There's a movie called Fresh. I don't know if you ever saw Fresh
Fresh is so
with
fucking
the
sad. I'm sorry, I'm cursing. That was so
yeah,
sad.
it
This
is.
is a
Yeah,
sad
yeah,
movie.
yeah.
Yeah, I remember watching Fresh. Too young. And I'm like,
Clockers.
yeah,
Remember
Clockers.
Clockers with I think that's Omar Epps, right?
Yeah, Clockers. There's
Yeah.
another. I think Spike Lee threw another movie in there as well that was very hip hop oriented. Some sad ones. It's thinking too about black films back in the 90s. It was all sad. Like everyone, the bad ending. Like
Mm,
Boys in the Hood, bad ending,
yeah.
kind of good ending. But Doughboy, he just vanishes in the at the end. They're like, yeah, you guys killed 2 weeks later. Like, damn, Doughboy.
Yeah.
I'm gonna go with something happy and funny. Friday
Yeah.
is one of my. I know almost every line to that movie. Like some of the lines you just say, like it just makes me laugh. Like Chris Tucker or Smokey talking to Craig. How you get fired in your day? Like how you get
The
fired?
stealing box. Was it like
You stealing
stealing boxes or
What the fuck
something
you
like
stealing boxes for? You trying to build a clubhouse? I'm like, it's just too funny. And the fact that like Ice Cube is this gangster rapper, but he's scared of this giant dude named
Mhm.
Debo. So it's like, we got all right. Debo's coming with his bicycle. Everyone, hide your chain, hide your stuff. And then he
Yeah.
grabs this other dude's chain and like, and then like when Chris, like Smokey's like, let's jump him, and Craig's like, yo, sit your ass down.
What one of the and the dad in that movie's funny, but like when
Oh yeah,
when Ice Cube wakes up, or when Craig wakes up and he's like talking to the one girl on the phone and she's like, oh, you was at the movie, but then he goes out to go get some cereal and there's no milk. Put some water in it. Listen, my mother used to tell me stuff like that. So like I think Friday's just a classic, man. It's a classic.
Like you irritate, and that's why. And if my son is still with me in his 20s, I'm going to irritate him too. Like, take out the garbage. You say you're going to take it.
You have to.
You have to. You live there. Don't slam my door. Don't slam. It's just so many jokes. Like Miss Parker walking. You're like, damn, Miss Parker.
Miss Parker. Yeah, she's watering the grass. That ain't no grass there.
Ain't no grass.
Such a good movie, man.
Yeah, I think that's my go-to movie. And Bravo needs to be on the show. He's hit I forgot New Jack City.
New Jack City. Yeah, we didn't
That's
mention.
probably
Yeah,
that's
man.
my second seed. Yeah, it was
New
Friday
Jack City.
and New Jack City. Ice Cube, Ice T
Ice T.
made me
Wesley
feel like he
Snipes.
was a cop. I was like, yeah, I could believe it. I could believe you're
Yeah.
a cop. He had the
Yeah.
dreads.
Yeah.
Um,
What's Dead Presidents? Remember Dead Presidents?
oh yeah.
We let's give some ladies some love. Set It Off is a classic,
Oh
bro.
yeah.
Set It Off
My
is.
parents took me and my sister to see that in the movie theater.
Mm-hmm.
We were young.
Yeah.
A little bit. It's probably
Yeah.
a movie that I would not take my grade school.
Yeah, a little sex, a little violence. Yeah.
Little sick. And it's sad again. The end, he's like, "Oh, all these girls are dying," and they like
Yeah.
Queen Latifah comes out like a G, comes out the car, gets blasted. I'm like, "Oh no!" Like, yeah. What happened to those movies? What happened? Where's those movies anymore?
I think a lot of the content now that there's some good TV show. It's just not. It's just different, man. I don't know.
The Netflix
And I don't watch.
shows
I
are,
don't the Netflix shows. I don't watch a lot of TV anymore now, anyway. But or movies for that matter, like I used to. But yeah, and I know we're missing some great ones. I wish that if you guys got some in the chat.
Yeah, I mean, Bravo, Mari throwing in a House Party. Love
House Party. Yeah.
I mean, the fact that he tried to go out and then I think it was the first one where he tried, I guess the kid goes back in the house and then his father's there whip his ass like you left the house. Baby's Kids. I don't know if you're into. Have you seen Baby's Kids anime movie?
I've heard of it.
Write that down.
Does anybody Beach Street? Can anybody relate? Have you ever heard of Beach Street?
Beach Street. That sounds
Beach Street.
Yeah,
this is a movie, cult classic, probably Chicago backdrop. But Beach Street, man, I remember with my cousins. They used to watch that all.
1984. Yeah. Wow, really set in the South Bronx. Okay, I'll check that out.
Which one's that?
Beach Street.
Oh, that's the South Bronx. Maybe I'm thinking of something else then. Beach.
Yeah,
I thought it was Chicago. Maybe I'm thinking of something else. But Beach Street is one you should check out. Definitely.
Yeah, I'm gonna check that out.
Definitely.
Yeah, Bobby says the 80s breakdancing movie. Can you breakdance?
No.
Yeah, I was just checking.
I got no movement like that.
No, Jason's lyric. You may like Jason's lyric, right?
I remember it. I don't think I've ever seen it the whole way through, but I definitely remember.
It was a drama.
It's like romantic though, right? Or not?
Yeah, or a little romantic. You're like, I think Jada Pickett's in it.
Okay, yeah. Jada Pinkett was in a lot of stuff. White Man Can't Jump. That's a good movie. Yeah.
Yeah. Why you going to be so stupid? Like, it was so. And then, like, he was just, like, first of all, how he bag her? Like, that's not even.
Listen, come on.
Okay, not happening. Really,
not happening.
Yeah, Rosie Perez was A1.
Listen, Rosie Perez was A1. She probably still is. I mean, I don't know. I haven't seen her in a while. I'm sure she's fine.
She's on some other shows. I think she was in some kind of. Was she in Harley Quinn movie?
Oh, The Driven Dad. I'm gonna get you, sucker. My dad used to watch that movie all the time with the big bunion toes at the. Yeah, I'm gonna get you. Have you ever seen that, Hannibal?
I've seen that.
Hilarious.
Yeah, the Wayne's family.
Yeah.
Just friggin' just kept making good stuff. I mean, that's again, that's a lot of the 90s. And we are reminiscing, and I'm sure there's great content out there. We're gonna, in this channel and in this podcast, we're gonna try to figure out what's going on and with the kids nowadays. I think we need to start talking to some of the younger folks and like, what the hell you guys are listening to, and then criticizing about how bad it sounds.
We can go back and forth. We could, I'm always ready to learn new things, and not all the new stuff is all bad. It's just, I think like you said last week or the week before, you had heard. It's kind of like you get to a certain point and you don't start listening to a lot of new music. What you mostly listen to is what once you get to 30 or whatever it is, like you have your classics in your CD player, you're in your head, whatever, and that's what you like, and you're not going to really be persuaded too much to go past that. And I think there's a lot of truth there.
There's an article on Business Insider. It says we stop listening to new music at age 30.
Yeah.
So, but for me, I feel like because of Spotify and YouTube and algorithm kind of guessing, you like this, that helps me. Like, I know new songs because of that. If I didn't have those platforms, I'll probably just listen to the same stuff that I grew up with, because we all say it's better quality, and a lot of that is like nostalgic. I
Yeah.
don't think as much. I think there's a definitely a level of quality dropped off, and I think it's not just hip hop. I think it's a lot of media. I think it's movies,
Yeah.
the comedy and certain comedies, because you're not able to say and use, like the people back then had more freedom to express themselves more honestly than we do. So I
Yeah.
feel like the quality has dropped off. But if you didn't have the internet, yeah, you would just listen to the stuff you grew up with because you have a strong connection to it.
Yeah, good point. And I even think like, you think about like the old like talk shows, right? The TV host talk shows. Like it's there's some of the new stuff's cool. It can be funny, but like I think there's something to be said for the innovation of doing something for the first time, right? And seeing it for the first time in Arsenio Hall
Yeah.
and like Letterman and Johnny Carson, like anybody just back then, it was just different, and now it's like you look at it and it's like, all right, how many times can you really do that? How many Tonight shows can there be, right? So, and same can be said for a lot of TV shows. I think there's some good innovative things happening, but at least within this culture that we're talking about now, it's like, how many times can you do it? So it's just to go back and look at the times when we were growing up. It's the golden era, man, because it was done so great the first time or the second time, and now it's like, okay, we're at the 20th time. Is it really better? I don't know. So for me, yeah, the '90s music is the best for hip hop in my opinion, and I think we've kind of proved that tonight. And I hope you guys saw some of that. I don't know, but
I think so. I think so. And if you guys enjoy this conversation and enjoy the podcast, free feel to subscribe and like, all the likes and comments definitely helps us grow. Yeah, I think we went through all 10 years, to be honest. I'm just pointing out certain things, and we
yeah,
mentioned countless rappers. Obviously the chat jumped in with some really great um
hmm
names and movies I'm gonna have to watch again because I tired of all the crap that's out, right? I don't find any of these movies interesting, and I'm not a big Netflix. I don't watch a lot of those shows. There's too many
yeah.
episodes, and I don't binge watch as I used to. So yeah, I think I'm just going back, just being an old curmudgeon, watching and listening to the same old stuff. But we'll see. I mean, we'll see. We'll try to bring some new stuff. I know the last time we talked about Drake, and you guys, I mean, according to the analytics, weren't big fans of the new stuff, which is, I understand that album was not that great. It wasn't it wasn't great at all.
Yeah.
Oh, I don't know. We gotta look on the horizon and see if there's any more. Cause I think Kendrick already came out. I don't think J. Cole's dropping anything this year. So
Did you see Kendrick at that fashion show? Did
um
you did you hear or see what he did? How he rapped his song while the models were running on the runway. He did it kind of a cappella. Do you know anything about that?
no, no, tell me about it. I know like
So
he had some kind of weird. He had like the crown of thorns with it bleeding. I don't know if that actually happened, but you tell me what you.
so there was this fashion show somewhere. There's a lot of them. I couldn't tell you which one, but this was just in the last couple weeks, and he was the models are walking out and he's singing one of his songs on the album, the latest album. I can't remember which one.
Yeah,
And he's in the audience of who the people that are watching the fashion show, the models, right?
yeah.
But he's kind of leaning, looks real cool, and he's just he's singing the hook of the song.
The new
And
album.
from the new album as the fashion show is going on.
Yeah,
And I thought it was kind of cool. I mean, he looked a little Kendrick Lamar. His fashion is always maybe very West Coast, but in this moment he looked a little different.
okay.
Like he was very modern fashion. But I thought it was interesting. So
Did
I'm
he
sure if
look?
you Google
How
it
do
on
you?
YouTube, you could watch it and give
I
me your
guess
thoughts.
in your opinion, how did he look? Like how like when you saw that, how do you feel when you're like, okay, this is it like totally outside of his element, a little too weird? Because the thing about these fashion shows, I don't know, sometimes they have a theme, but a lot of it is they're living lives that we can't relate to,
Mm,
and they have a aesthetic that I like. Their aesthetic and what they think looks good, and I feel like costumes compared to like real articles of clothing that a person could wear that is functional and it may be
yeah,
comfortable and may look good at the same time. It just sometimes they it's like, I don't know if it's on purpose. Like we need to separate ourselves from everyone else by dressing as extravagant as possible, like or be weird, like Kanye. We both love Kanye.
yeah, yeah.
I forgot what award show this was. I think they were honoring P Diddy, and Kanye comes in fully covered, head to
Yeah,
toe.
he's like even his face, right?
So it's
He
like,
had the whole
yeah,
covered. Yeah,
and he's talking, and I guess we know that's him because his voice. Like, what is that about? You know what I mean?
yeah.
So I don't know if
I
you
don't
feel like
know.
that's the kind of the thing, like
When
just some different.
when I saw the Kendrick Lamar, I was like, he was chilling. He wasn't he wasn't like on a stage. He was in the audience chilling. He had a mic, and the vibe was cool, but like he definitely looked like, and I could be wrong. This is my assumption. I'm guessing.
Yeah, yeah,
Like somebody said, "Hey man," or like he knew somebody that was doing this show, or maybe he's a friend of the designer. I have no idea, right? But he was like there because of either that reason, or somebody said, "Hey man, I'll give you $2 million if you come out and as a rapper after the Miles are doing the runway, if you rap this song for me." And he's like, "All right, I'll do it. I know you're my boy." That's the vibe I got from it. Like
okay.
it was just a
He
weird
didn't
kind of
put. He was just,
appearance.
yeah. I mean,
I don't know.
and then did it work? Like in terms of performance,
I
him.
think it did work based on like it made sense. It seemed like
Oh,
it worked. It
okay.
seemed like it worked, but you check it out. I'm sure you could YouTube it, Kendrick Lamar fashion show or something. It'll pop right up. Let
Yeah,
me know what you
I'm
think.
gonna check
So,
that out, see if it's a little bit too, if it's interesting. I mean, I don't mind people experimenting. I really don't. I mean, we talked about his last album. Like I enjoy it. Probably just enjoy it as much as the other albums. I know someone in the chat was like, Kendrick was a letdown.
yeah, yeah.
Probably not the biggest. The last album was very internal. And when you create content, the best content is what you do for everybody else, right? Like
Mm,
what everybody else is into, and
hmm.
you kind of connect. But I think Kendrick is allowed to kind of be himself and do what he wants
I
because
think
he's just
yeah.
so good at what he
And
does.
I enjoyed the album, the last one. That's just me, but I think you bring up a good point as far as like you get to a certain point. I think he's earned
Yeah,
that
earn it.
for
Yeah,
you know what I
definitely.
mean. Like I'm gonna make something that's kind of for me and it's personal, and and I like when artists do that. So yeah,
Yeah, it works out. Um, oh, we're almost running on 2 hours now. We didn't talk about this before, so I'm not sure. Like we say last couple of episodes, we introduce new, I guess, artists or albums,
hmm,
and
hmm.
we see if we like it or we hate it. I didn't ask you before we started, but did you got a chance to listen to the album that I suggested?
No, I did not.
Pedro, you suck.
No, hold on. I did. I listened to it on Thursday when I was getting an oil change, but I only listened to 4 songs. So I got through 4 songs, and then
Okay.
we went to Michigan on Friday. It was okay. It was just okay. I think it's very 90 was it early 90s hip hop. I feel like
2000,
it was
but yeah, yeah.
or 2000, and it was all right. It was cool. The beats was cool. It's very different.
Mhm.
Not something that I would listen to normally, but that kind of album I only got 4 songs in. It seems like a cool album to listen to if you like riding in your car, you're chilling, good vibes. But it wasn't not something that I would normally listen to.
Well,
I
Pedro,
only
you
got
gotta,
through 4
I
songs.
want you to listen to the rest of the album. I'm not saying
Okay,
it may
all right.
change, but to give it a really good review, and we should
Yes.
have, I guess, preface this because Marty's asking, well, what the hell you guys are talking about?
Actually, here I'm gonna look. I'm gonna
It is a rap group called Little Brother. It
little
has two
brother. Yeah.
rappers, and the last member is Knife Wonder, one of my favorite producers ever. Like Knife Wonder, anyone from North Carolina, they know him. He produced for countless artists.
Yeah.
And Little Brother, that album, The Listening, and that's also the name of the album. I
Yeah.
think
That's the one we're talking about right there. If you
yeah,
guys can see
I
it.
think I want you to finish it and then give me your full review. It may be the same. It may say, you know what, nothing changed. But yeah, I think there's some stuff
Something
that you may
there.
like. I feel like it's very Tribe Called Quest ish to me,
Okay.
and that's probably what
Yeah.
grabs me because Tribe Called Quest is one of my favorite groups of all time. And there's no gangster stuff. They're not talking
Yeah. I
about
can
beating
see.
up or
Yeah.
robbing anybody. It's just
None of
real
that.
life, relationships, take care of your kid, like very, it's not the same. So there's no intensity. I think that's probably a good word. Not a lot of intense moments in the album, but yeah, we're gonna get a full review next week,
Got it.
and I'm sure we'll talk about some other stuff. I want to go through 2000s, but I think we should try to figure out a little later on. Let's just talk about some stuff that's happening now in hip hop. I'm sure there's tons of stories, and then Maybe we'll hit it up later. What do you think?
Yeah. I think maybe we do the 2000s and 2010s in a couple weeks or something, and
Yeah.
we could talk about next week. We could talk about some current topics, what's going on in hip hop, what's going on in basketball. I'm sure there's going to be some free agency talk, and I think we can kind of keep it to some topics for next week. So
Yeah. But before we leave though, like, is there anything the NBA trades and stuff that kind of got you surprised, or nothing really?
well, I saw that. Well, over the weekend, Rudy Gobert got traded from the Jazz to the Minnesota Timberwolves. So now you have Rudy Gobert, great defensive player, trash offensively, but now he's going to be teamed up with Karl Anthony Towns and Anthony Edwards. So the Minnesota Timberwolves made a huge move. They gave up a lot. They gave up Patrick Beverly, but they gave up another player, a better player than Beverly. So they gave up two of their main, like, starting five or starting six players, another two players. They gave up four players, I believe, and four number one picks. So I think overall it was nine. I think it was maybe five current players, so 9 players, current or future, for one guy. That's not a trade that happens often in the NBA.
No, I mean it's going to be twice as that for KD. So you're gonna have Cat and Rudy Gobert,
yeah,
and near the basket. Now I know.
Well, no, I think Cat's
yeah,
gonna play. Cat's gonna play probably the 4, obviously.
Yeah,
but he's gonna be the guy that will spread the floor, and you're gonna have Gobert's gonna be the defensive guy, and Cat's not bad defensively either. So you're gonna have 2 7-footers, one that can hit a 3-point, one that can defend the rim. It's going to allow Cat to play not in the paint as much, and I think he's going to like that. You're going to have Anthony Edwards playing that small forward 2-guard position.
I love Anthony Edwards.
Yeah, he's just coming up. So the Timberwolves made it's an interesting trade. They gave up a lot. So right now I look at it like they want to, they got a 3-year window, and they're going for it right now. The West is loaded. Do you
think they're a playoff team? Or they will make, not the play on, but like actually just be a playoff
I think they could be a playoff team. Maybe they probably not getting still out of the first round, but they're definitely now, I think this puts them in first round team. Maybe they push it to 6 or 7 games with somebody, but this doesn't make them a contender in my book. Okay. But it's an interesting move. It's 9 players, 9 guys for one guy does not happen in the NBA very often. So that was shocking that they gave up that much, but nice. Gobert is an all-star. He's an all-star, and he's a 3-time defensive player of the year.
Yeah, so I like his game. It's all about putting him in the right spots. But I'll give you a prediction: the Nets will not make the playoffs next year. Probably won't.
So you think it'll just be Kyrie by himself?
I think they're gonna get rid of them, but before the end of the next season, they'll all be gone. Ben Simmons will be just passing to himself, or because he can't shoot, so he's
gonna pass it to nobody or somebody.
If Kyrie and Westbrook get traded, I'm going to lose my mind. Like, it's not going to be a good look if we have Westbrook and Ben Simmons on the same team. Should we just remove them off the like? And that's like that may happen, but I think what happened is I think they were like, hey, you gotta give us. I think Lakers want another decent player that we have over in the Nets, and I was like, nah, dude, we're not doing that. Like, just take this Kyrie guy.
What do you do? Let's just say, I think right now Kevin Durant, they got him going to maybe the Raptors or the Suns or whatever. Let's just say he goes to the Knicks. What are you feeling? He goes to the Knicks. He's got him and Jalen Brunson, and they got RJ Barrett, and they got the big guy Randall. Is that a team that makes the playoffs with Kevin Durant?
If it was able just to jump in like that, but for the Knicks to get him, they would RJ Barrett's gone.
Oh yeah, well,
yeah.
And Randall's gone. Probably.
Yeah, so that's a problem too when you do these big trades. You're destroying your team to get one guy. So that, I mean, like, he wants to go to the Heat. All right, cool. I'll take Tyler Hero and a bunch of other crap, all right, just to get something in all your number one picks until year 2050. But then I'll take. I don't like Kyle Lowry. He's kind of overweight, but I'll take Kyle Lowry and Tyler Hero and a bunch of draft picks, sure. Or in the Nets, give me that tall, goofy dude. And I know you're not gonna give it up Booker. Actually, that's all they have. I don't know what the Nets, what the Suns have.
They got
Let's go to Willing away.
DeAndre Ayton, and somebody else, Mikal Bridges or
And
something.
this guy walks around here. I want to be a max player.
Yeah.
I don't know what they're gonna do. Should they, if, maybe they should just let them play, be angry, and let them play the season. Like, I don't care. Y'all gonna start, and maybe we can change your goofy minds. I mean, they're not leaders. You could, when a person's not a leader, you can kind of get them to do stuff. Like, hey, look how great y'all playing. Look, we're 10-2.
Yeah, but Steve Nash ain't that guy. Steve Nash ain't the guy.
Steve is not. He's not.
So they got to have a new
leader
coach.
On the court. He's not a leader of men. And it's two different things. Just because he was a great passer, high basketball IQ, doesn't necessarily translate into head coach.
Yeah.
So,
do you think Kevin Durant? Do you think he'd sit out a year if he requests a trade? They don't trade him. They can't find a match. And you think he just wouldn't play? Like,
everyone keeps saying that Durant loves basketball more than anything. He will never not play. He's a ball. He's gonna play. That's what everyone's saying. Kyrie definitely. But also, the reason why he opted in, Kyrie, is because he wants his money. He already lost.
He lost half his money last year, right? I don't think. I mean, I don't know. I don't know in the NBA. I know the contracts are guaranteed, but if you don't play those home games, are you still getting paid or not?
No,
you're not.
No.
Okay,
so that's why he decided, like, okay, you want to leave, then don't opt in, and then take that $6 million in LA to play with LeBron. Who's gonna lose 30 million? Like, people you don't do that because you're not gonna get that back. You're only young once, so we'll see. Yes, I think that's a great comment. I am also annoyed. I'm very annoyed with Durant as well. And the last comment we're gonna throw in, Bobby Coolio. That's another song my father used to play, Gangsta's Paradise. It was on repeat, and goddamn, that was a good song.
It was a great song, but
Stevie Wonder let him take that sample after he promised him not to curse. He said, okay, you can take this sample, but you can't curse. And Coolio
he's all right.
He's all right. I'm not.
He's all right.
That one song. He's not that one hit. Well, he has some other hits, but that song, really good. On that note, we got the, we'll figure out what we're gonna do next week. I'm sure there's a lot of stories and stuff coming in, but appreciate you guys for staying with us. You stayed for 2 hours. Many people subscribe. Marty, Bobby, Driven Dad, dropping some good movies as well. Bravo. Appreciate all you guys for sticking around. Press like, share the podcast, the YouTube channel. If people who love hip hop like we do, love the 90s like we do, jump in and let them know about our show. And I don't know, Pedro, what you got to say?
Listen, good week, man. I think we had some good combos. Appreciate the chat. Appreciate all y'all so much for being in here, vibing with us, and be on the lookout for next week. And every week we might, it might be a week we talk music, might be a week it's basketball. It's a mix. You just know that you're going to get different kind of cultural, maybe topics, relationship driven, all kinds of things that men don't like to talk about, but maybe need to sometimes. So just know it's not always going to be just hip hop and basketball, but obviously that's going to be the main backdrop. But you got to know me and Hannibal. We don't, we plan certain topics, but then we just kind of let it go organically. We turn the mic on, we turn the video on, and we just talk. So if you guys are here for that, we appreciate y'all very much. So that's all I got.
Gotcha.
Crisscross. Yeah, I talked about that last week, man.
Yeah, you said you didn't have the pictures for your crisscross pants.
I got them. My mom's got them. I gotta get with my mom's, and I was gone all week.
We'll bring it back. We're gonna bring it back. But
I got it for y'all.
On that note, we'll be back Wednesday, 10 p.m. Eastern. On that note, have a fantastic night and talk to you guys next time.
Peace
out.